today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, wait, you guys here? Is it time? I don't know if it's time yet. What is that? No way. Welcome to Truth and Transparency. All right, check it out.
Moscow police will be giving an update today on the ongoing investigation into the murder of 4 University of Idaho students.
The next part of
Police will be giving an update today on the ongoing investigation into the murder of 4 University of Idaho students.
The next part of, my investigation was to sort through these interviews that started popping up of the neighbors and their accounts of things that were going on.
Do it. He wants to be close to the crime scene. I didn't do it. I have nothing to hide. I'm willing to give DNA, fingerprints, whatever they need. But yeah, it's just upsetting being compared to a murderer when I didn't do anything.
Neighbors would start getting interviewed by the media, social media, starting to point fingers at neighbors feeling the need to, quote unquote, clear themselves by doing interviews.
Most weekends involving 15 to 20 guests gathered in the backyard at the fire pit. One neighbor says she routinely had to wear earplugs to go to bed. News Nation's anchor Ashley Banfield is following the case.
If this killer had been in that house before as a friend or a partier, they would know the unusual layout of that house. They would know where the back entrance is, the front entrance is, the locks on the doors, the stairs. They'd have a pretty easy time getting in and, more importantly, getting out unnoticed.
And now a neighbor who lives near the house says he heard a woman screaming the night of the murders. 30-year-old Enon Harsh, a chef, says he thinks he heard the scream at around 4 a.m., but he quickly dismissed it as noise coming from a party. I didn't think anything of it. After what happened, I've definitely had second thoughts.
As neighbors are becoming more vocal, November 29th would be a very, very important day as we would all come to find out that Brian Kohlberger's vehicle would be located at the Steptoe Apartments on WSU's campus. It would be reported back to Officer Payne about locating this white Elantra. Again, that was November 29th, the same day that they moved all of the vehicles from 1122 King Road residence. Today, as part of the ongoing homicide investigation and original search warrant, detectives relocated 5 vehicles from within the police perimeter to a more secure long-term storage location to continue processing evidence. This would be just hours after WSU locates Brian Kohlberger's car on campus, according to the probable cause. On November 25th, 2022, Moscow Police Department asked area law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for white Hyundai Elantras in the area. No year was given at all. On November 29th, 2022, at approximately 12:28 a.m., so before those vehicles were ever moved, Washington State University police officer Daniel Tanego queried white Elantras registered at WSU. As a result of that query, he located a 2015 white Elantra with a Pennsylvania license plate.
Towing away 5 snow-covered vehicles that haven't been driven in weeks. Police say the cars are being moved to a secure location to continue processing evidence.
Just if that wasn't enough that was going on November 29th and November 30th, Brian Etten would interview Bill Thompson. Check it out.
Cars away from the house today to a secure location. And it comes as we're hearing new details from the prosecutor and police about this case. Senior national correspondent Brian Enton is in Moscow for us. So, Brian, what are you learning today?
Yeah, a couple of new nuggets of information, Nicole. We just wrapped up an in-depth interview with the prosecutor and with police. We're going to get to that in a second. But you mentioned it, this crime scene active yet again more than 2 weeks later. Take a look. Just within the last hour, tow trucks showed up here and started towing away the victims and the surviving roommates' cars. We are told that police made the decision to tow those cars out of here. They're taking them to a secure location where they can do further processing for evidence. Still not a lot of progress in this case, unfortunately. A killer's still on the run. I asked the prosecutor about that, about if they've made any progress. Is there possibly someone they're looking at? Listen to what he told me a short time ago.
Are there persons of interest and people that the investigators are looking at?
I think it's fair to say that there have been people of interest to the investigators, and everyone that they've identified so far, they've been able to exonerate. Perhaps exonerate isn't the best word, but they've been able to eliminate them as being an actual suspect. And we do not have a name of a person or persons who are actual suspects. That's what they're focusing on still.
So there's not someone behind the scenes that you secretly know about that you're just waiting on one more piece of evidence or one more piece of DNA and then boom, this will be settled?
I can tell you that I'm not aware of any single person with a name that we're focusing on, that the investigators are focusing on.
Okay, so it could be a while.
It could be, or it could break open any time.
That is obviously not what people in this community and what the victims' families want to hear right now. There has been this hope that behind the scenes, police were making a lot of progress and that perhaps they had seen a suspect on surveillance video, something that just wasn't released to the public. I'm told that is not the case. The prosecutor telling me they have no video of the suspect that he knows of. Okay, also coming up tomorrow, there's going to be this vigil for the victims here at the University of Idaho. There are safety concerns.
That interview with Bill Thompson would send the police into a frenzy. So much so that they had to release a updated press release on November 30th. They said that regarding the interview with Latell County Prosecutor Bill Thompson, we feel his responses were messaged to support the implication that new information had been released. Specifically, generalized statements regarding the potential of targeted victims and the involvement of drugs were redefined into an affirmative answer. At this time, there is no change or new information in this case. and references otherwise would be inaccurate. We ask the public to refer to the Moscow Police Department website for any updates on the investigation. Again, November 30th. Then, November 30th, they feel the need to do a clarification at 7:15 p.m. to say that there's been conflicting information has been released over the past 24 hours. The Latah County Prosecutor's Office stated that the suspect or suspects specifically looked at this residence and that one or more of the occupants were undoubtedly targeted. We have spoken with the Latah County Prosecutor's Office and identified this was a miscommunication. Detectives do not currently know if the residents or any occupants were specifically targeted, but continue to investigate. Again, November 30th. Now, I couldn't find anywhere that interview that Brian Entin had talking about targeted versus not targeted. I do know that it came out, but there is no mention about him using the words exonerating people and clearing people as suspects. And the fact that on this November 29th interview, Bill Thompson has no idea of anybody, their name or anything. However, Officer Payne knew about Brian Kohlberger's name on November 29th via the probable cause. There would be a web sleuth that goes by the name of Sleuthy Goosey. She puts together a timeline and releases it out here on social media through Twitter. And what I went ahead and did is I took her timeline and then I sprinkled it with little Lana-isms, little notes. And then I cross-referenced stuff with, the points of emphasis with looking things up and comparing it. And so I started from the beginning of her timeline here, so we'll go ahead and discuss all of this. But it breaks down where people were, what, if they used Venmo, if they used, Cash App or whatever, based on the police reports or the interviews. And then she took into account like any type of article that was out there and noted where there was like quote unquote clashes. And she did great work because she cited all of her sources, which is awesome. And this, why I think it's even more amazing, is that if anything was ever altered down the road, I like to do what you call like cover your own ass. And if you try to change something, well, no, here I had it at this date, this time, my stuff's timestamped, recorded in some type of way. And so what I went ahead and I went through and all my markings are in red. Her markings are in the black. And then things that were interesting to me, I highlighted in yellow to really, point that out. But let's take a look here. On 11/11, Kaylee's gonna travel from her hometown to Moscow, show her best friend Maddie the car, the Range Rover. The thing that I wanted to put in there was that this would be an invite party also. So per her mom, though, she said she was undecided if she was even going to go to Moscow. So when did this +1, when did that even really happen? When did Dylan ask her to be her +1? Because she was back and forth. She didn't even know if she was going to go. The Venmo transactions, 11:20 or 11:12, Maddie paid Kaylee with a note that said coffee. Ethan paid Kaylee just a couple, 20 minutes later with thank you. And my guess was it was for the coffee. But I did note that no Dylan or Bethany with the Venmo. Bethany really didn't use Venmo. My guess here is that Ethan paid for both he and Xana, if Xana in fact got coffee, because Xana did not Venmo, or Xana didn't Venmo because Kaylee owed her money for bills. And we all know how that goes. You have a board and you just start keeping your tallies. So, moving on, the I thought maybe he just didn't pay her enough, but then if you actually look into it, yeah, slang for coke. 12:20, something I noticed is that Kaylee's mom said, hey, mentioning the whole, like, that Maddie and Kaylee had fun. No mention of Dylan, no mention of that Kaylee was her +1, nothing like that. Wasn't sure if maybe they were trying to, play it all off, that everybody was still in sororities and stuff like that, and therefore nobody needed to be a +1. Again, this was all events on Friday. Then we get to, Saturday. This is happening in the morning. Then there was that football game at 4 o'clock. There was actually a WSU football game as well, and it was a home game. Then something that becomes very, very interesting, it should become very, very interesting to all of us, is the 8 o'clock time of allegedly arriving to the Sigma Chi house. And then the 8:40 Venmo that Ethan pays to Jackson, saying thank you. Well, who would need a ride from the King Road to the Sigma Chi house? Nobody. I mean, you would just walk. It's like literally right across the street. You wouldn't pay for a ride for that. But what I thought about is that they were tailgating at the White Ave apartments. Did they go back there? Did they need a ride from the apartments? And is that what that was all about? Looking further at this, whole Sigma Chi and what Ethan and Xana really did that night. If you listen to what her dad said that when he talked to her, she was at the house and that they were just there with her boyfriend watching movies. So when Sleuthy got to the 11:25 update that comes here later, she notes that Moscow made a change to the time that Kaylee and Maddie got home. They were using that 1:45, which was just completely not correct, so they changed it to 1:56. I went ahead and I looked at, again, the November 25th press release, and I found something very, very interesting in the wording that they used, and I don't think it's been talked about enough, and so I want to talk about that. Actually, update around 1:56 a.m. Arrival time has been updated based on digital evidence collected by investigators. Now, investigators have determined that Ethan and Xana were seen at the Sigma Chi house on the University of Idaho campus. They were seen there at approximately 1:45. They are believed to have returned to the residence. See right here, it does not say that they had stayed there, that they had been seen there, okay? They just had been seen there. And then here, it's just talking about when they arrived back home. Investigators have determined, this is very important. So where were Xana and Ethan? Xana and Ethan, they were just seen there. Doesn't mean they were there the whole time. So they got there at 8. Then he pays Jack K Venmo at 8:40. But if they got there at 8, who came and picked them up from where, brought them to the Sigma Chi house, then where'd they go? They leave at 9. Where do they go? What were Ethan and Xana doing all night? They weren't just at the Sigma Chi house from 9 to 1:45 a.m. And the person that's saying that they were, and the probable cause, when we'd find out weeks later, Bethany Funk is the person that's saying that they were there from 9 to 1:45. That doesn't make any sense. As I'm working on this timeline, I'm also multitasking with things that are coming up as they
a new report
are presented in the
calls
media.
Idaho one of the most bullied states in America. Specifically, the website backgroundchecks.org shows that the gem state tops the list for teens who are cyberbullied.
Roland, if you talk to local teenagers and ask them if bullying is a problem, you would probably be shocked at their overwhelming response. They say that's because adults don't see the abuse. It's all right here, right? And they don't know how to deal with the online bullies.
Social media would go wild once again, forcing the Moscow Police Department to address a rumor surrounding Hannah Cleary. On November 28th, Moscow Police Department would put in their press release that updated information. There have been media questions regarding a February 2022 death on Baker Street. The Latah County Coroner's Office has confirmed the death was due to an overdose. This case is not related to the ongoing murder investigation. Well, it gave me a hint and a clue that, okay, Baker Street is where Hannah died. Who is Hannah? Again, touching on all surfaces. Who is Hannah Cleary? Who are her parents? What's up? And what's up with Baker Street? Where is that in the big scheme of things? And social media was going so crazy as to say that Hannah Cleary was roommates with Maddie Mogan her freshman year at the University of Idaho. And that Hannah Cleary was bullied by Hannah and other girls in the house. And was there any substance to this? So I looked into it. And as I began to look into things that had to do with Hannah, I decided that it was a deep look in. Her dad went to the University of Idaho, had friends that went to the University of Idaho that now have sons that went to the University of Idaho when his daughter Hannah went there. So I decided that Scott Cleary and my deep dive with Hannah Cleary and her death would take a little bit of a back seat. Her dad and the family allegedly moved around a lot, and I just felt it was best that I kept, at that point in time, this information in my folder, and then, I will come back to it. So that brought me back to going over Sleuthy Goosey's timeline and then my input on it. So, and this is where I get to pick up with all of you guys on the live broadcast. So welcome to Truth and Transparency. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Truth and Transparency. Yes. I'm going to walk through some of this. The timeline that Sleuthy Goosey put out, this is Street Cred going out to Inside Edition, News Nation, Brian Enton, Ashley Banfield, Sleuthy Goosey, and I think I used a little dabble of Google. So I'm going to give Google a shout. Again, guys, welcome to the Transparency. This is episode number 5. The clashes that would start to form between initial posts, articles, interviews, they would start heavily clashing with things that would come out later. So that's kind of where I wanted this to go, because as things would start forming in real time, it's like multiple things are happening at the same time between the dates of 11/29 and December 7th. And a lot of that comes out in in episode 6, where it all the way goes to like December 10th with everything that we do in that. And it's like, I don't know, an hour and like 15 minutes. is that episode. But this episode, I wanted to really focus in on the initial, because the initial reports of things, because either the initial reports of things with everything that I've ever done in life, I do apologize. My voice is really, really hoarse, but either your initial reports on when you hear something, it's either so wrong or it's actually really, really right. And sometimes it's so right that it gets buried. So with that said, again, welcome everybody that is in live chat. All the moderators, thank you guys for being here. All the members, kudos to you guys. You make it go round and round. All the subscribers, thank you. So I'm gonna make this just a little bit bigger. There you go. Again, a big shout out to the Goosey who put this out on Twitter. So what I went ahead and did is when I was doing, I saw in one of her comments once, she's like, Lana, when are you gonna pop a timeline on this case? And honestly, what I was doing is I was simply gathering as much information as I could, because when I started seeing the reports on that the two surviving roommates were downstairs, I didn't believe it, because we had gathered so much information on their social media platforms that showed everything to be that Dylan's room was in fact on the second floor. And that's going to come up in a couple episodes here. But so as much as I wanted to pump out a timeline, I was over here just trying to get everything before it was deleted, because as you guys know, things were deleted. With that said, want to zoom in here on a couple of things. First of all, here we go. Sleuthy put out a timeline. I went ahead and did my sprinkles on it. Throughout this episode, you guys heard about X, Y, and Z, and we get all the way to right here. My big thing is at 8 o'clock, Ethan and Xana are at a fraternity party at Sigma Chi, and it was, first of all, at 8. They were at the football game. Well, I just went ahead and used my logic and my common sense of how long football games are, and then how they get home from it, who picked them up, where'd they go, things like that, where they were before, because 9 times out of 10, if you were somewhere before you went to the football game, that's where your vehicle might be, or that's where you told people like, hey, let's all meet back here after the game type of thing. To see that Ethan paid Jack K at 8:40. I mean, honestly, it could be for a million different reasons. If he was with him and he reminded him of something and then he paid him, or it could be for the fact that he got a ride from him because he was a driver. The interesting thing about it is that it was at 8:40, and Jack K and his sister come up down the road. The report that Ethan and Xana leave the fraternity party, or was it just that they left the fraternity house? Either way, that comes out so early on that they leave. All right. And I highlighted that leave word because I think that that's very important. I go on to show that the detectives in Moscow is very, very creative the way that they go ahead and pump out some information. And one would have it that like from 9 to 1:45, that's where they were. Nope. That's not how it is said in the documentation. And I want everybody to look at this one more time to see it in like real time, I guess you could say. right here where they put right. Where do I use it? Right there. Investigators have determined, this is very important. So where were Xana and Ethan? The language and that then here, it's just talking about when they arrived at the Mackay House on the University of Idaho campus. They were seen there at approximately 1:45. They are believed to have returned to the residence. They use the term right here. Investigators have determined. This is on 11:25. So when they use the word determined versus believe, it's a very, very big difference. Investigators have determined that Ethan and Xana were seen. They were just seen. They weren't there the whole time. They were just seen at the Sigma Chi house. That's it. And then they put the period. That's it. It's just like they try to get so sly with this. They were just simply seen. Ethan, it has been determined that Ethan and Xana, they were seen. That's it, period. Next sentence is, at approximately 1:45 a.m., Ethan and Xana are believed to have returned to the residence. Now, this is really, really important because we have to talk about Bethany. Bethany is the sole source when it comes to the probable cause for this whole alleged 9 to 1:45. That's where they were. Well, at some point, guys, what this tells me is that at some point, something changed, okay? Because of the wording of the officer that wrote every single press release. It was the same person. We called up to Moscow. We asked them who wrote the press releases because we wanted to make sure that it was the same person because the language mattered. Nobody could ever say that oh, well, that person wrote that one and that person wrote this one. It was very, very important for us to know if the same person wrote every single press release. And yes, the same person did. We have Moscow confirming that to us in a recorded phone call that took place about a month ago. Because it's very, very important that somebody would ever have to take the stand and say, I wrote this because of XYZ, or, well, we rotated who wrote those. No, the same person wrote every single Moscow press release. The same person did. Now, so I wanted to really, really emphasize this part of it because at some point, for the probable cause to say that Ethan and Xana were at the Sigma Chi house from 9 to 1:45, okay, that had to come later on in another investigation of another interrogation or if you don't want to use the word interrogate, that's fine, whatever. That had to come from Bethany and other people being interviewed to ask either more questions. Not saying that they necessarily had to change their statement. It would just be like, hey, was Bethany and Ethan there the whole time? Like, when did you get there? When did you leave? Da, 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 da. But if you remember from everything that we've ever talked about and we've ever seen, Bethany and Dylan are in two completely different places, out by themselves, not with each other. And again, everyone's going to say, oh, they were just saying that to us. Again, if you've been watching any of the trials that have been going on, you're going to see how bad it looks when you say something and then you just say, well, I was just saying that just to see what people would do and say, and oh, but it's law enforcement. They can do that. Well, absolutely you can. But who is that protecting? You might as well just not say anything. You're not protecting anybody when you're just bull-faced lying. Just saying enough that Dylan and Bethany didn't see anything. They weren't witnesses. They weren't perpetrators. Okay, but to carry on with this nonsense about what Ethan and Xana were doing up and until the murders, we got to talk about that. Because people were murdered. Like, what was everybody doing? We know what Maddie and Kaylee were doing. They were at the corner club. They were there the whole time. As I scroll down and we start talking about more of the details here is the only way that law enforcement could be corrected on some time frames, in my opinion, is if they either had a Life 360 app on Kaylee and Madison, or if they, like, what I would have done is I would have hopped in my ass right to where I would have known that they were that night. And I would have said, I'm the mom, I'm the dad, whatever you are. And I would have been like, I want to see the surveillance of my kid up in this bitch. And I would have asked for either a copy of that. I would have had my phone out and I would have been recording. But for the family to be on it, as you will see so early on, they had to have access to some type of surveillance, whether it was Maddie or Kaylee's, like an app that featured where they were, or like I would have done, I would have went to where they were and have gotten that. So we know where Maddie and Kaylee are the whole night leading up until the murders. Well, I just want to say leading up until when they got home. Then you got Ethan and Xana. Everybody thinks that we don't know where Bethany and Dylan were. Well, I personally think that we don't know where Ethan and Xana were because according to Jeff, when he called her, which there will be a paper trail of if they actually talked that night, which, I mean, why would a dad lie about that? Hey, they were at the house. They were watching movies with her boyfriend at midnight. Well, that goes against everything of being at the Sigma Chi house from 9 to 1:45. And then you have where was Bethany and where was Dylan. And if you guys have been watching the Alec Murdaugh double murder and trial, the last 2 days was everything that you guys would want to watch, which was depending on what type of car you're in, depending on what type of phone you have, and depending on what type of settings you had, your phone can do so much. And I watched it 5 times. The past 2 days of his trial, I watched 5 times to literally make sure that, like, I wanted to know certain things. And they're over here. They didn't have 48 FBI agents. They didn't have 60 FBI agents over on that case in South Carolina. This case has everybody that you could ever imagine on this case, right? All of Moscow, all of the Idaho State Police, and then all of the FBI. And you're going to sit here and tell me that they're not going to be able, once trial comes, to know everything about each one of these human beings, and I'm not just talking about that night, they're going to be able to go back and look at where they were XYZ. If this trial that's happening right now in South Carolina is not like resonating with so many people that are infatuated with the Idaho 4 case, then I pity you. Because the last 2 days of when the expert witness got on there, who was basically their grand finale, were nailing Alec to the fact of he was here. Okay. And at this time, his car slowed down so much that, I mean, listen to what they're literally, listen to what the prosecution is saying. And it's like, okay, now the defense is about to either bring it or literally crash and burn. Right now, if I'm on that jury, I'm voting guilty on both counts of murder. But I have not heard. So that's what you do. You have your notebook. And actually something I heard that was crazy is that they don't have a notebook. They can't take notes while somebody was talking about that they don't have notes, that they're not allowed to take notes while they're sitting there in the jury box. And they're supposed to remember all of this for 4 to 5 to 6 weeks. I'm like, wait, what? The last trial I was at, they had a notebook. Getting back to this case is I was watching that stuff for the purpose of this case, period. And this is where everything with what Xana and Ethan were actually doing that night matter. Like, was Sigma Chi even having a party? Like when people say like, oh, people were just at the Sigma Chi house, that doesn't mean there's a party. It just could just mean like you're there. So this whole like party thing. But here, let's look at people's phones and let's see where they're actually at. What type of phones they have? Well, I know that Xana had an iPhone. And we know how these kids are, like they go everywhere with their phones. So there should be like a huge digital footprint of where they all went. And I'm not just talking about the night of the murder. You'd want to know everything about where these kids have been for the past 30 days. Because if you're going to try to defend Brian Kohlberger, if he's your client, I'd want to know where all of them were for the past 30, 60, 90 days, however long that you're trying to say that my client was stalking them. Because if I can put them not even remotely even at the house when you try to say that my client is peeing off of a tower, but if you actually go back to 11/25, that was also the day that they told the Gonzalez's that they're not going to be getting any more information. The same day that they told other law enforcement agencies, we need you to be on the lookout for a white Elantra, but we're not even giving any years, but just look for a white Elantra. What? Okay. That's the same day that they told Kaylee's parents that was the last actually time that they talked to them in the big scuffle of things. So let's take a look here. So going back to, so what I did, if Sleuthy Goosey is in chat, each episode I've kind of featured somebody. So she got episode 5. I got 5 on it. See right here. So Jeff, he said that he talked to her and, they were home, whatever. Again, I said this completely clashes with the Moscow Police Department, what they put out about Ethan and Xana being at Sigma Chi from 9 to 1:45, blah, blah. Right here, them arriving separately at home, like, just, wow. Maybe their interview was just that they interviewed one girl and she said that she was at, 5th Street and the other girl said that she was at 1st Street. I'm just trying to So in their initial stuff, hold on. I always thought it was weird. So when I was going through things, I always thought it was weird that they were alleging that everybody got home kind of at the same time, except for the 2 surviving roommates, that they got home at 1. But then when the probable cause would come out, it would be that this person is saying who got home at 1 allegedly is saying that Ethan and Xana were at Sigma Chi until 1:45. I mean, I don't think that Ethan and Xana could have been at Sigma Chi, and I think that they left. I think that they were gone after 9. That's what I think. Right here is where I noted in the episode that this 11/25, 2022 is when they finally go ahead and they say, okay, we are going to change that they got home at 1:56. Do I think that should be important? Yeah, because I mean, why did it take them until 11:25 to talk about that? Was it just because they weren't updating certain things? I don't know. In this episode, I talked about neighbors. Now, look at this. 2 a.m., neighbor Dakota goes to bed and hasn't heard anything, hasn't seen anything. But she did say that the house is a party house. This person is going to be called to the stand. I mean, do you guys understand that? Like, this person is going to be called to the stand to testify to this. Absolutely. I would agree with that. I think somebody got picked up possibly by BK and brought home in the morning. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you there, mate. And in fact, here you go. This was hopefully the, here we go. I said I would have a surprise for you because I figured that she would come. There you go, Sleuthy. Take that link. I just dropped it. Because me and you are we see each other on that one. Also, I just want to give you props on the whole point of the series is, you know, what a sleuth does compared to what mainstream media would do. And honestly, it's the same thing. It's just on a smaller budget. So if you're available and not with family or friends or something like that, there's a link for you. So, yep, totally agree with that. I've made that really, really, really clear from the beginning on that 9 o'clock, 9:12 hitting off towers bullshit, but whatever. Yeah, no, the only person I'm allowing up right now is Sleuthy if she's available. So no offense to anybody right now, but that's just what it's about. All right, moving on with a couple other things that I wanted to point out. They had mentioned all the different calls, what time frame they were, and then something that the investigators want to go completely away from is that, you know, when they want to talk about, if you're watching the Alec trial right now, the double murder homicide of his wife and his son, the prosecution is so hard on. They're not going off of time of death from the coroner or Emmy. They're literally using the phone of both Paul and Maggie. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Make the bread. we got you, because I'm going to talk about the phone here and Paul and Maggie. So the prosecution for, if you guys are following the Alec trial, the prosecution is going with a timeline that has to do with the phones that Maggie, his wife, and his son, Paul, that their phones never do anything after this time, which was, I think, 8:44, 8:49, or 8:44 was the video, and then I think 8:49 was the time of the phones. So you have to expect, if the prosecution can do that, then here you go. Why couldn't you got make it a little bit bigger there? You got Kaylee, who uses her seventh and final call to Jack D, per the phone records, at 2:52 a.m. and she never uses the phone again. There's no more outgoing. Nothing happens from her phone. So you have to expect the defense to really, really, really hone in on that. And I think that this is going to, I think that, in my personal opinion, I think that whatever the ME was doing in Spokane and whatever the investigators were doing, they were probably very, very adamant that, hey, we need this time of death to not be any earlier than 4 a.m. because it royally fucks us. Because you're going to be able to use, well, Maddie and Kaylee never used their phones again after 2:52 a.m. So why couldn't they have been killed? That, they didn't use their phone. And I'm trying to show you guys a relevant case that's going on right now. And this is what they're using. They're not using time of death. They're using somebody's phone. And then you have the defense that comes in, and guess who their first witness is? The coroner. The coroner, who's saying that, yeah, the time of death could have been at 8 and it could have been at 10. It could have been between 8 and 10. So to go ahead, and they're honing in so much on the phones that if I'm defending Brian Kohlberger, I'm honing in on the phones too, to say, well, why weren't they didn't use their phones after that? They were totally alive. And then all of a sudden, the reason they didn't use their phones is because they were dead, because that's what all they were doing. They were shotgunning messages, shotgunning. And then who just falls asleep after, especially depending on what the last messages were. And those are all going to come into play. Again, this is only to show that we were told, guys, that the time of death was the time of crime was between 3 and 4. And then all of a sudden, when the probable cause comes out, it's now between 4 and 4:25. And guess who heard a scream at 4 a.m. that decided to come out to the media? Ian Harsh, Mr. Harsh, out of the blue, comes out to the media to get this out there that he heard a scream at 4 a.m. So interesting how this dude, November 13th is the murders, November 14th, all over everywhere. And this dude is not interviewed until when? after they already have their shit. So, do you think that Harsh, is going to be a witness for the prosecution to talk about this scream? Abso-fucking-lutely, because this is everything with this whole alleged 4 to 425. He comes forward the same time as the Huedelantra starts, and this is going to be getting into episode 6, 7, 8, and how everything plays out with what I'm talking about. But we may think that he's not credible because he's lied, but that's going to be up to the defense to show that he's lied about X, Y, and Z. You get what I'm saying? But you're damn right he's going to be used. If he is going to sit there and tell the defense that he heard a scream at 4 a.m. and he's literally the next apartment over, absolutely. You wouldn't use that if you were, or I'm sorry, the prosecution, you're not going to use that. You're absolutely going to use that. And who cares if you don't think that the guy is credible? You have Dylan that's going to tell you that this happened at X, Y, and Z time. So this is all about when you want to talk about building a case against somebody, they were literally building a case against Brian Kohlberger for a very, very long time. Very, very long time. Let's see here. Going back to the this is all about, like, guys, everybody is credible until the defense proves them not credible. Does that make sense? Like, you're credible until you get proven not credible. So whatever you say, it's gonna stand until you get proved otherwise. So that's what everybody needs to, like, think about, is that he can get up there and say XYZ. You need to be ready to point out, XYZ opposite. Those of you guys that think that you have information that would help the defense, if you would want to give it to the defense, you have every right to email whoever you want. People think that the gag order, I don't know if you guys saw the episode where they interviewed Mark Garagos. He was I think he defended Scott Peterson. But he was talking about the whole gag order. And they always want to make it seem like this is to help the defendant. And it's not. It actually hurts the defendant, to be honest. They can't quash stuff that when it comes out, they can't say this, they can't say that. And they also can't ask for help. So for all this time that we've been helping the prosecution, now you have a citizen that was arrested and now he can't ask the public for help. And I have a huge, huge problem with that. Because everybody is innocent until proven guilty. And if the public knows something and can help and can provide insight to something, or, how is Anne supposed to do all of this herself? Or even if she had another attorney, and even if they had, let's say, like an investigator. We've been on this case as web sleuths for how long? Since November 13th, right? We've paid attention to every single damn media report, you name it. But having a gag order, they say it's to, and they go with it, oh, we just want to protect the defendant, and, we don't want them to be prejudged and blah, blah, blah. You also can't ask for the public's help. And if you don't believe me, go and listen to what Richard Allen's attorneys said when Richard Allen was arrested, and they knew that the gag order was coming. So they went out there and they spoke and said that we're against the gag order because for 6 years you've been able to ask the public for X, Y, and Z, and now this citizen can't ask for help from the public for X, Y, and Z. And when you think about that, guys, it doesn't make sense. When you're so when it's a high profile case as it is, and your name gets thrown in as somebody of a person of interest, or even worse, arrested for the crime, everybody knows about it anyway, and you were clearly arrested for a reason, and it's because there's evidence against you. Now, whether it's good evidence or bogus evidence, but if you think you know something or you think you could help, send a fucking email if you want. I'm sure Ann has an email. Send her an email. So that's my spiel on that. Let's see. See right here, 3 to 4. Time of death of all 4 victims. 3 to 4. Fox News. The date on that. The time, we'll find out here soon, that the surviving roommate summoned friends to the residence because they believed one of the second floor victims had passed out. Well, lo and behold, now you guys find out that, the second floor, there was actually a survivor on the second floor. Like, who just walks past that door, like, and just is like, I'm not even going to open it to see if anybody's in there to kill. Like, then you knew that you didn't need to go into that room, and you knew who was in that room. Friends arrive at location. Now, the interesting part right here is, boom, right here. Dakota Sparks leaves for work, not seeing or hearing anything at 11:45. Think about what time 911 was called. 11:56. Not seeing or hearing anything. I think people forget about this. This is important. That time frame. Boop, boop. Right there. 11:45 a.m. Dakota Sparks leaves for work, not seeing or hearing anything. That is the neighbor of the murdered University of Idaho students, describes crime scene location as a party house. Same person. Um, 11:58 a.m. 911 call from inside the residence on one of the surviving roommate's cell phone, requesting aid for an unconscious person. Okay. Moscow Police Department Facebook update. That's what that's from. Think about that, though. Dakota Sparks leaves for work. 11:45 a.m. Not seeing or hearing anything. Yeah, exactly. Did the ambulance come like, wow, 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 wow? We have like somebody that's, we got to like resuscitate. They're unconscious. Like, come on. They released, they said that EMS was also dispatched, right? So, I mean, we're going to find all of this out. Let's see. Police arrive on scene and find a dog unharmed inside the residence. The dog was turned over to Animal Services and then released to a responsible party. I do believe that has everything to do with the call at 5 o'clock that came from the White Ave Apartments. That's in other episodes that I've done. They announced that all 4 students pronounced dead at noon. interesting to me. All right, right here. 5 to 5:30. This is verbatim from her own mouth. That's when she got into the crime scene. They were doing whatever they were doing and she couldn't go in or whatever. Again, she's going to have to explain herself on all of this. 11/13, 2022, the press release that came out and announcing that X, Y, and Z were the victims. That's interesting to me. The time frame, 4:48 p.m. 11/14, so then the next day, press release. This is when the mayor talks about it being also a crime of passion, by the way. Crime of passion. So, he's going to be called. He's going to be called and said, well, you said that it was a crime of passion. Why did you say that it was a crime of passion? What led you to believe that it was a crime of passion? Oopsies. Press release was updated with the contact information for the Moscow of the homicide, and this just means that the exact time was unknown, but it was on 11/14. 3 p.m. Only one Moscow police car is on the property, though it remains blocked off with tape. Again, that came from this. Like I said, the best thing that she did was she was citing these, and that way you can tell. See, what I do is I always take a screenshot of something, and then I'll put the date, or if I can get the screenshot with the date, then I'm good. That way, if they edit what they produced, I had somebody produce something about me and then edit it 2 years later. So I had the original post, and it holds up. 11:15, 8:27 a.m. They released this press release. They didn't have their first press conference until 11:16. We all know that. The autopsies was the next day. I think they did that strategically, that way that they could say that we're performing them and we don't know any of those answers, blah, blah, blah. 11:18. Again, a press release. This was them. Police request public assistance with the homicide case. And this is the date that your web sleuths, like I said in one of the earlier episodes, you summoned the web sleuths. Again, these are the dates of the press releases. They expanded the crime scene on 11/21. That was their third and final press conference that they would have until 12:30. That was the last time that Kaylee's parents heard from law enforcement via the interview. And this is my biggest complaint right now, is that on 11/23, they had, this is the big jump in. You guys got to pay attention to these dates, but they switched it from 103 pieces of evidence to 113, and that came right after Thanksgiving. It was on 11/23. I'm sorry, right before Thanksgiving. They said on 11/23 we have 103 pieces of evidence, and then here on 11/25, investigators and the FBI returned to the home after the crime scene had been untouched for days. After searching the inside of the house, one investigator left with several small paper bags in his hands. Well, guess what? On 11/25, they updated it to say that they have 113 pieces now instead of 103. So they collected 10 new pieces of evidence that was sent to the lab on 11/25, and it was when these folks returned. In this episode today, 11/29, you guys, that date is so important. That date is so important because they moved the vehicle. So, okay, I put this in the episode. Check this out, just so I can show you guys again. Right here. Check this out. Police officer.
A chef says he thinks he heard the scream at around 4 a.m., but he quickly dismissed it as noise coming from a party. I didn't think anything of it. After what happened, I've definitely had second thoughts.
As neighbors are becoming more vocal, November 29th would be a very, very important day as we would all come to find out that Brian Kohlberger's vehicle would be located at the Steptoe Apartments on WSU's campus. Okay, so on 11/25, the same day that they got 10 new pieces of evidence, the same day that they go back into the home, they call up, Moscow Police Department calls up allegedly other law enforcement agencies around the area to say, hey, be on the lookout for a white Elantra. They don't say the year or anything according to the probable cause. Now, my guess is that like an email of some sort went out, so we'll see what the email says. But on 11/25, they put this be out on the lookout for a white Elantra. 11/29, early in the morning, like 12:28 a.m., so they find Brian Kohlberger's vehicle before they ever move all of the vehicles. So on the same day that they find Brian Kohlberger's car, they're then executing a search warrant to move the vehicles from where they've been located for however long to a more secure area. Well, we have footage thanks to Jonathan Lee Riches, who was there. He went to where the cars were, and he photographed that. You want to talk about secure? These aren't secure. They're right here, and anybody can get to them, and blah, blah, blah. So, but just think about this. The same day that somebody is moving 4 vehicles to a different area, or 5, or how many was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is after, because they located Brian Kohlberger's car first because it was at 12:28 a.m. So Brian Kohlberger's car was located first because it was so early in the morning. So it was like almost technically like 11:24, or 11:28, but because it was 29 minutes past midnight, it becomes 11:29. They would then know where his vehicle is, had his vehicle. Did they get in his vehicle? I don't know. We don't know. Maybe they found it and they were like, hey, we went up to his door and we actually talked to the dude. Who knows? We don't know any of that. That could have actually happened. Who knows? That's not in the probable cause. And everybody out there wants to be like, oh, everything's not in there. Everything's not in there. Okay. Well, maybe on 11/29, the same day that they moved those 5 vehicles, they got into Brian Kohlberger's car. You're right. I don't know. But they moved the vehicles. And so much is happening. Like, so many things are happening. But they ask for other law enforcement agencies to look out for this vehicle on the 25th. They do not ask the public. The public is not even aware that there is a white Elantra that was ever seen remotely by the house. We don't know anything like that until December 7th, which is coming. It would be reported back to Officer Payne about locating this white Elantra. Again, that was November 29th, the same day that they moved all of the vehicles from 1122 King Road residence. Today, as part of the ongoing homicide investigation and original search warrant, detectives relocated 5 vehicles from within the police perimeter to a more secure long-term storage location to continue processing evidence. This would be just hours after WSU locates Brian Kohlberger's car on campus, according to the probable cause. On November 25th, 2022, Moscow Police Department asked area law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for white Hyundai Elantras in the area. No year was given at all. On November 29th, 2022, at approximately 12:28 a.m., so before those vehicles were ever moved, Washington State University police officer Daniel Tanego queried white Elantras registered at W. Now, I had somebody call. This was back when this originally all happened. And to say, where's the list that you, when you queried, where is this list? And it was said that there was no list. They already had the guy. There was no list. So how could you query, and where's your white Elantra list of all the white Elantras that were WSU, because they were a student and because they, like, you have to fill out your parking passes and your permits and blah, blah, blah. And you put your make and your model and then everything. Okay, so we go to this and we say, okay, we're looking for XYZ. So we type in Elantra. Where's the query list that you sought out, that Daniel Tanego sought for? Like, when he did his query, where's that list? What popped up? Well, there is no list. There is no list. Like, what do you mean there is no list? I mean, you guys listening to that? Like, this is going to come up in court. This is going to come up in court. That when you went ahead and typed up that you were looking, you queried white Elantras. Where was this list? Because when we called to summon for this list, there was no list. You guys didn't have a list. Where is this list? So you're going to have to bring this, like, this is going to come out in court. Where's this list? Again, I think that's a really big thing because, I mean, right here, it's in the paperwork that says that you queried. You queried. So you were able to type in a data, like you sit down at your computer and you type in your Word documents and you're looking for something that starts with the letter Y. So you type in yes. And then everything that's yes. Where's, when you queried this, where's this list? And what we were told, there is no list. Like, we were trying to do a request. You guys get that? Like, just like how we did a request for the footage of 1122. We did queen. We did king. Where's the list? Where's the query? Where's the list? You can redact everything you want out of it. You can redact whatever you want out of it. We want to know the list. How many white elantras were on your queried list? Okay. There's also going to be when somebody sits down at a computer that is run by the university, you're going to see what time they typed in what they were looking for. And there's going to be a timestamp. So let's say that they did this at, like he said, 12:28. He typed in and he queried white elantras. And then boom, hit print. And then he print out a list of white elantras. Then by 12:58, there'd be another person that found it. Were you working with them? Were they like, did you tell them, hey, I found one at this address? I mean, do you know how many white elantras would have popped up? That's what I'm trying to get at, is that this is going to be questioned like a mother. Where's this queried list? When you sent it over to, for example, you were told to be on the lookout for white elantras. You weren't asked to query white elantras. You were asked to be on the lookout for white elantras. Like, so that means like as you're driving, right? Well, Daniel Tanego just, I guess, got a hair up his ass and was like, oh no, I'm just going to type in white elantras or elantras, or I'm going to go to our parking pad. Like, he's going to have to explain all of this on how he got to Brian Kohlberger's, or anybody's for that matter. Because this list wouldn't have just got you Brian's. It would have got you a shit ton of them. If you typed in, you're telling me that there's only one white elantra on WSU's campus? Do you understand that? So everyone out there that's always said to me, Lana, who cares? We got the guy. Who cares how we got him? We got him. Look it, we got him. He's been stalking them for freaking months. Well, I hope that's not your son. That's all I have to say, is I hope that's not your son. I hope your son is not the queried guy that you know. No, what do you mean? Where's your brains? Come on, let's talk about this. You got a guy that's working, and he's like, do. You know what? They want to find this white elantra. Let me just go ahead and type in white elantras. Well, where did you even type in white elantras at? Where'd you type in white elantras at? Okay, so you're gonna have to tell this on the stand what you did. Yeah, I typed in white elantras. Well, where'd you do that? I use this database, and we just type in this, and this is what comes up. Okay, great. How many popped up? Oh, I don't remember. You don't remember? So did you have a list? How did that vehicle pop up? Oh, well, like, yeah, no, they did. Like, there was a list. I didn't print out the list. No, actually, it's not the wrong year. Somebody that put that it's the wrong year, it's not the wrong year because of what they put in the probable cause affidavit. They said that they asked local law enforcement to just look for a white elantra, not a year. So that's how they're going to get away with that. But this dude, whoever he is going to have to explain how him and the other guy came to the white elantra. You get what I'm saying? Like, so just like think about that. It's just, you guys, I'm not defending Brian Kohlberger. I want the right person and people. Because if you don't get the right person, or if it's multiple people, then this is going to happen again. And guess what? If you have a kid, you should care. because it could happen to your kid, meaning like your kid could become a Kaylee, a Maddie, a Xana, an Ethan. So come on, like this is not about them being able to blame some quote unquote, this guy was a stalker. Well, then it's not complicated. This isn't a complicated case. If he's just some deranged stalker, then this isn't complicated. He felt he was infatuated with one of them, and he just like was sitting out there all the time, and just, you know, and then you're going to have every criminal profiler say that that's not what stalkers do. They isolate people. They don't go into a house if they just want somebody 1v1. That's not what they do. If you live in Idaho, if you're an alum of Idaho, if you're in the Greek system, wherever, at any campus, this should seriously bother you, because your brother and your sisters were sought out. Like, this is insane. Like, totally insane. This was the hoppinest, bumpinest house, and you think that you're just going to walk in to this house that has a revolving door. You don't know how many people are in any different bedroom. You don't know who's sleeping where. You don't know this house, but you go in there, and the two people that are actually sleeping alone and not with anybody, they survive. But the people that are actually doubled up in beds, they don't. They're all stabbed with the same knife, all within a 9-minute period, basically, that you're going to try to argue. Why? How was this complicated? Somebody came in with just a crazy person came in there. A crazy person came in there. Well, then why didn't they go to the most successful bedroom and open that door and kill Dylan? Oh, because they weren't interested in Dylan. So then it wasn't a crazy person, because a crazy person doesn't think. But we have to sell it to the university that everybody is okay and nobody needs to worry. I get that. That's the last thing that you would want, is you can't have induced panic. And whoever knows how to handle themselves under a situation like this, I don't care if I was a police officer, you don't know the right move. You don't know. What sold it to you that this was an isolated, targeted attack from the initial investigation? And that tells me the people that are talking to you to tell you that it was targeted because of whatever was going on. Number one, did they leave a note? But to sit here and say that you knew early on in the investigation, meaning the day of the investigation, this was an isolated, targeted attack, that tells me that you know what's going on. You know what this is about. And then you're telling everybody that's complicated. And once you said that this was complicated, and it was said by the Idaho State Police on 11/16/2022, when he said the words, this was complicated. This is a complicated case. That tells me everything I need to know. That it is so deep and so... This is not just a guy that got in his car from Pennsylvania and drove 2,500 miles to go to school as a PhD student, and within literally 10 weeks decides to stab 4 people who he has no ties to. None. He's a PhD student. He has no criminal background. Oh, he's a weirdo. Who isn't? Who isn't a weirdo? Come on. Like, that's not going to cut it. He could have sought out any house. Like, I personally believe that if you truly think about it, Brian Kohlberger should have got away with it. Think about that. Think about that. A PhD student is going to drive his own car, who's in criminology, is going to drive his own car to go commit a murder and make sure that he's seen on every living camera possible. And then in a room that there's barely any fighting or anything, that's where the sheath falls. I could see you being in a dog fight and in it coming off because they were able to grab your, belt or whatever. But that should have been in Xana and Ethan's room. That's where the dog fight was. That's where it was a war. But the sheath, the sheath to be in a room and on a bed that people were sleeping in, 2 females that were sleeping with, if any, defensive wounds. How does the sheath fall off? How does the sheath fall off from your belt? How does the sheath? You think that he had the knife in his sheath with gloves on, and he goes to take the knife out of the sheath in that room so he didn't have the knife out? Do you understand that that's every criminal profiler is going to tell you that that's not, where's the DNA? How's the touch DNA getting on there? How is it only on the one side of the button? How is it not on both? If there's no other, if that sheath, how much blood there is, if that sheath only has touch DNA on it, not blood, not anything else. Like, you guys, if you care about our kids, if you care about the truth, and I think so many of you guys do, because otherwise you wouldn't watch true crime. It's called true crime, not just crime. It's called true crime. We want the truth. I want the truth. Because if I had a daughter that was 14, 15, or 16 years old and I lived in Idaho, and she was telling me that oh my God, I can't wait so I can go rush Greek and blah, blah, blah. First of all, I'd be like, absolutely not. You're not doing anything like that. But if that's what she wants, I'm supposed to be supportive of that, right? Okay, fine, babe, you can do it. All right, let's go get it, hon. Like, but we're going to have some rules. To think that I would love for it to just be some crazy person, because it's so much easier. But if it's not the truth, then your daughter, my daughter, everybody's kid that we're sending to that area could possibly get caught up into whatever it is that they got caught up in. And it led to this. Mr. Gonsalves said something, and I'll never forget it. And he said that there were victims basically before Kaylee and Madison and Ethan and Xana. You need to go back and you need to listen to what he's talking about. They know a lot, and they're keeping their mouths shut, and they've been keeping their mouth shut since day one about certain things. And they've said that they've done that. Whether it's their opinions on something, whether they have privy information to something, whether they were able to get into Kaylee's apps and find certain things out. I don't know. I don't know anything. But all I'm telling you guys is that you're not going to hear the police say that this was complicated, that this is complicated. If it's some guy that's like on his way to be some serial killer, and we caught him before he could become a serial killer, and that this is just he got caught on his first go round to stalking these people in this house. He's a PhD student, drove from PA. We have him peeing off of cell towers that house uses when they have to make a call. Well, so do 9,000 other houses. What's wrong with making sure that your kid and my kid are okay? What's wrong with Mr. Gonsalves wanting to make sure this doesn't happen? Like, he knows that there's nothing is going to bring back his daughter. Nothing is going to bring back Kaylee. Nothing's going to bring back Maddie, Ethan, Xana, nothing. But there's one thing that I can do. I can make sure that your kid, that there isn't another kid, that you never go through this. He's not trying to take the limelight. He's trying to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And how anybody can possibly look at it like any other way. It's like, do you know how, think about it. By him wanting to know the truth, it could put him knowing things that maybe his daughter did that you wouldn't want out there. Think about that. Think about shit. He's willing to know the whole truth, even if it makes Kaylee look bad in a certain sense. Well, let me tell you something. Nothing's going to make Kaylee or any of these victims look bad. You're going to have the world defending them as victims. But I think that he's actually like being so unselfish. He's being so unselfish. If you truly, truly think about it. And not too many people would do the same thing. People wouldn't do it. People would be like, I don't want my daughter looked at in any type of like in bad light, or even be possibly able to look in bad light. And let me tell you something. The first people that are going to tell you that are the police. They're going to tell you that, no, we don't want to, we don't want to, we don't want this to tarnish your daughter's reputation or blah, blah, blah. My daughter's dead. My daughter is dead. Reputation? You're not going to tarnish anything. Nobody's going to come after my daughter. People don't come after victims. Unless you're a shitbag, right? What would be Mr. Gonzalez's reason for wanting to be so vocal? Think about that. I lay in bed at night and I think about that. Like, why isn't he just being like any of the other parents and not saying anything? I don't know, maybe the other parents aren't getting phone calls all the time, and maybe he's just picking up the phone, he's just talking to them, and, you know, who knows? But I just think it's a testament to who they are as people. Because he's risking whatever is going to come out, the truth. He's risking his daughter being looked at, you know, in bad light or something. I just think that you have a dad, you have a mom, you have a sister, you have a brother. And they're just basically telling us that this isn't, something's wrong, something's not up, like it's not on the up and up. And that maybe we should listen to that. Think about if you were in that situation, like nobody would know what to do. You don't want to say the wrong thing. It's crazy. My theory is that when you take all of this, the totality of all of this, any good lawyer is going to blow it up. That's what I think. Sad. I think a gag order. All I know is I'm going to start shotgunning everything I have to Miss Taylor. I have a pretty good indication, though, that she probably already knows that I exist because of people out there. But that's not to help Brian Kohlberger. God damn, no. You know, that's not it at all. It's because I don't want to see anybody else die or get caught up in whatever it is that's going on there, because this is not just some crazy person. That's not what this is. 60 FBI agents. 60 FBI agents. The West Memphis 3 had 3, maybe 4. John Benet Ramsey, 2 FBI agents. They had 100 personnel on here. 100 personnel on here. You know what else is interesting to me? I have to ask myself this. Everybody says, it's just the probable cause. You don't put everything that you have in there and blah, 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 and blah, blah. What? What do you mean you don't put everything you have in there? Well, we're just trying to get an arrest. Think about that. Yeah. Because then, what? Yeah, because then, at trial, we're just going to bring way more to the table. Oh, so what they did to Alec Murdoch when 2 weeks prior to trial is when they got all the information that was testified to the past 2 days. 2 weeks ago was given to the defense. 2 weeks ago. That dude had been putting that together for over a year. And the defense got what he testified to 2 weeks ago. Now, I'm not saying that what he presented was a bunch of bullshit. I hope not. But 2 weeks ago, they were in trial. I need to, anybody needs to, I need time to, look at what the heck you're giving me so that I can, see whatever the hell it is. Everything in this case is circumstantial. That's why it's so complicated. But to sit here and say, and people want to run their mouths and say that you're beating a dead horse or you're talking about a case too much, that's exactly what mainstream media, that's exactly what law enforcement is banking on. that we stop talking about this case, that we stop looking into this case. This is wild. There is no murder on the streets. They said it themselves. But great question. D. Evans says, why would they want to arrest the wrong person? Then they would have a murderer out in the streets. It's a targeted, isolated attack. They don't have a murderer out in the streets. So that's number one to that answer, is they don't have a murderer running loose that could possibly harm other people, because they've made it clear that whoever did this is not a threat to anybody else, even Dylan and Bethany. So to sit here and say that we needed to lie to protect them, well, they weren't a target. You know, I didn't go to law school, so I don't know all the law lingo, but I could say the shit and then I could have a lawyer, you know, put their touch on it. But there's no, to me, there isn't a murderer running loose. To me, what there is I think that there are individuals that protected whatever the hell they got going on. That's what I believe. Cactus flower. Thank you. Hey, what's up, VA Scorpio? Love you, girl. You're assuming that you know the motives of law enforcement or FBI. Then it gets super complicated. I'm not assuming anything. I'm just repeating what they tell us. They're the ones telling us, go watch episode 1 through 4. It's all right there. I use their own words, and I just remind everybody this is how everything's happened to date. And if you do that, you know, because there's just so much that's happened. But when you do it like that, then you can go back and you can look, and all I'm doing is showing you guys what I did during real time the past however many weeks it's been. So to sit here and say, I'm not assuming anything. I'm just saying that, using their own words. Let me ask you a question. If you were on the stand and you were asked, hey, Daniel Tanego, you found this white Elantra. Did you go up to the door? Did you knock on it? No. Why not? Well, I don't know. Well, you found a white Elantra. You found the door that the white Elantra belongs to the owner. Well, they didn't tell me to do that. All I did was report where I found it. I just reported, hey, I found a white Elantra. I just gave them the information. That's all I did. I passed on the information. And who'd you pass it on to? Well, I passed it on to my supervisor, this person. Then that person would get on the stand, and you have to ask them, did you call them up? Well, no, I passed it on to Payne. Okay, Officer Payne. When you got this information on November 29th, how did you get that information? Did you get through the tip line, or did they email it to you? He's going to have to answer. Okay, so when you got all of these tips coming through with all these white Elantras, what did you do? Did you call any of them? Did you go to their house? Did you check out their car? You just, all of this, oh, I just looked down at chat and I'm like, da-da-da. I'm like, well, no, that's not what I think at all. Lana doesn't have why Kate Schneider. I was like, well, Jesus, I'm not over here. And this is when I get to laugh about things. This is why it sucks when you just talk to yourself through. Like, hey, Lana, what'd you do last night? Well, I looked at a computer screen and I just talked to myself. You did what? Yeah, I just literally looked at a screen for a couple hours and I talked to myself. Girl, you need some medicine? You need to get on some meds? What's wrong with you? No, occasionally people write to me. But then when I think that they're writing to me, they're writing to someone else. So, I agree with all of this. Thank you. I love these. Thank you. I know I'm silly. Trust me, I get all that. It's just to hear people talk about that Mr. Gonsalves wants the limelight, or that there's other people that he should be considering. Other people have the right to talk. Other people have the right to not talk. If he wants to talk, as much as he's respecting the people that don't want to talk, he doesn't overstep his boundaries. He doesn't talk about their kids. It works both ways. And I think that the family should feel the same way. Like, if Mr. Gonsalves wants to exercise his First Amendment rights, he has that right. Just like he's, accepting the fact that we don't want to talk. So it's anybody out there that even wants to remotely talk about that is just losing the plot completely. Because I've watched enough of it. And if you've watched enough of it, you know that he's made so many statements that have said, and so is his wife, that it's not just his kid. It's not just him. There's other kids in their families. So how I feel about Mr. Harsh right now, the more digging that I've done, is I do believe that he gives the prosecution that timeline that they want, that 4:00 scream. So it's interesting if they're going to use him. It's interesting. As far as to say like that, if he was involved, I feel like everybody everybody in Moscow has a double. Me and Jay for Justice, were talking the other night. Where's my damn phone? And she sends me a pic, and she's like, "Girl, I was watching your one of the body cams," and I was like, "Oh God." She's like, "The one that Kaylee comes out during the day?" I was like, "Yeah." So she sends me a screenshot, and she's like, "Who is this?" And I said, she's like, "It's Brian's dad." I said, "What?" Where is my phone? Because I should share it with you guys. Actually, I am, just because I don't want you guys to think that we're crazy. Let's see. She had me rolling. You see me rolling. Oh, there it is. Okay. Woo. All right, it's coming. So anyways, she sends me this. She's like, "It's Brian's dad, and it's one of the cops." And I start dying. I'm like, "What is?" I'm like, "Girl, go to bed. Go to bed." My phone died, so it's on a fast charge here. I'll send it to you. But I was like, everybody looks like everybody. No, it's definitely not. It's not Brian's dad, you guys. But wait till you see this picture, okay? We start laughing about it, okay? because it's like, it's not him, but it looks like him. And everybody looks like everybody. Bethany looks like Emily. Emily looks like Bethany. Everybody looks like everybody. And then in the Grub Truck video, is that Harsh or is it his lookalike? Then you go to the corner club and is that Jack or is it this guy? I mean, everybody has a twin in Moscow. So, but you guys can be the judge of it. The boys all look alike. I agree with Doc on the route traveled. The route traveled. But see, that's where I think a setup could be in the making. Is, this whole sedan, white Elantra, like phone just pinging around town. So, your gal pals. Yeah, wait till you see this. Let me see what else I wanted to cover before I show you this pic. So this went all the way until right here. I paid attention to how many private security. So when they got the private security company or the guard or whatever, it released 25 Moscow police officers. So basically it just went from like them, because they were staffing it with somebody was sitting there. I thought that was interesting that somebody was sitting there. Just use your dash cam. So, but here you go. Let's see. Dude, I watched the hell out of that Grub Truck video. Yeah, so I think the timing was very, very interesting that Mr. Harsh came forward to talk about the scream. Very, very interesting about that. We all know that people like to insert themselves in stuff. I feel like if people know the the Grub Truck is like everybody goes there. It's like a known thing. If you really think about where you'd want to like do deals or like something like that, that'd be a pretty smart place to do it. People are just going there to eat food. You know what I mean? Grab their food and go, right? So I would like to know when that guy started his Twitch streaming. Maybe the police were like, hey, we want you to do some streaming here. And I don't care what anybody says. Homeboy that was in the hoodie knew that he was on camera and flipped his hat around, put his hood up, did all the things to stay out of the camera view. And to me, it was just like, why? Well, because I know I just don't want to be on camera. Like, who cares? Like, okay, well, he made it a point to do that. I thought that was interesting. The cop that is looking at the balcony. Yes, wait for it, guys. Wait for it. Oh my God, wait for it. Wait for like the clip that we got about that. And she sends it this, and I was like, oh. Thanks there. How you doing? High red prices. I'll get the car, but not that the truck is giving out the drugs, you guys. No, I'm saying if I was from a drug operation, yeah, you can meet me at then like you're all there like, oh, hey bro, what's like people that are there meeting, like it's not some weird place to meet, like, because you're all getting food and it takes like 10 or 15 minutes. So while we're waiting for our food, you know, people are like, where'd you go that night? I went to the grub truck. There I am on camera getting my food and a fat sack. You know, like, you would just do your feelings there, or you would, you know, thank you there, Brandy's Wine, Time, and True Crime. God, that's a lot to say there, girl. Woo woo. I saw that at the grub truck. Who was the guy who Maddie hugged at the grub truck? D. Evans. Don't know. This is what I'll do, though. I'll invite, as long as you guys, I mean, I don't want to get, I usually don't do this, but I'm going to do a little something special for you guys because nobody has to work tomorrow. So here you go. You'll be on the clock for 2 minutes and then I boot you off. But as long as you show, you don't have to be on camera when you're out here, but show me you behind the scene, backstage, and you can ask your question or two. And then I boot you so that we can speed roll this. But there's the link. If you hit it, you can come up, ask your question, or state your piece and check in the box. Yeah, hit. Oh my God, why tonight? I'm bleaching my hair. So you don't have to be on camera. Everybody always has an excuse. Guess what I was doing tonight? Tonight I was enjoying sushi and I had to come live with all of you guys. I was loving on my sushi. Sushi? Yes. Here, Doc. Hit the button, Doc. Come on. Here you go. Look at this. Copy. Roger that. Roger. There you go. Doc will be the first guest. Oh, thank you, She Beast. Thank you for that. That's coming. I think we all know that he lied. I mean, he said to me, he just sounded like he was on drugs. That's what I thought. He was just on drugs. Maybe Mr. Gonsalves should just hit the link. So here, we'll give it to him. There you guys go. He'll just come on. There you go, Mr. G. Not today, but another day. Well, I promise. That's it. You're fired, doctor. You're fired. Oh, your baby's turning 6. That's good. That's good. I'll pull up some of these pics. Oh, you're behind a fat sack. Let's see. Oh, by the way, make sure you guys make yourself known. If you like the video, thumbs it up. If you don't, thumbs it down. You have thumbs, you have a voice, use it. Okay. All right, you're good. I see that you're there, so you can either like shut it off or turn it on. It's up to you. There you go. Hey, what's up there?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey. Oh, just hanging out with about 1,800 people.
Yeah, I know.
So
Pretty
what's up?
cool.
What do you think?
Well, I think Mr. Harsh is very guilty.
Okay.
Very, very guilty. And I mean, there's too many. I don't believe in coincidences either.
Yep. Same.
That he just, I don't know. He's like a snake in the grass, basically. How he manipulates into his way into things, and he says things that he thinks people don't catch on to, clues and stuff. But yeah, I really do. I think he's really guilty, and they should really look. Sorry about that. They should really look into him. And
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I think that they need to look into him. Absolutely. I think the person that needs to look into him is actually the defense.
Yes, yes, and everything that y'all are finding out about him, I'm hoping y'all, give them the information that's needed to the police, because if they don't look into him, they got problems. Because he could be maybe not the number one person causing problems, but he could be, involved.
Yeah,
what's going on.
You kind of wonder how a guy like him is, going on a live with somebody and talking about how he, evaded was eluding the authorities, and how he was doing his drug handling. And, somebody that acts like that is just, I don't know.
Well, he knows what he's doing. And the deal about him being in Syria, nothing would put me, I would put nothing past that guy at all.
I think he's in Miami.
I think he might be too.
I think he's in Miami. I think he's in Florida. So, but all right. Well, so you believe that Harsh needs to be taken a little bit more seriously in terms of he lived right next door. He's like overlooking. Then, I mean, do you think that's him at the grub truck?
I think it is.
Mm-hmm. Who dresses like that, right?
Exactly. And
he wonders why he's going home single every night. I'm just kidding.
I know what you're talking about and everything, but that dude definitely needs to go to Walmart and get some new clothes.
Well, I saw his shoes with it, his jeans, and then I thought, where's his chef knives? Where's your little belt with your chef knives?
That's another thing. Anybody that's able to, I think, do what he does with juggling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He needs to be watched.
I think he's pretty entitled in terms of he's never had a struggle for anything. His parents are well off. He's grown up being well off, and I think it's one of those things that I would like to know more about where he went to high school and things like that, and whatever led him down that path of I don't know, getting caught up. Because I know the one guy that was caught with him doing and selling the pills and stuff like that, the drugs, he was a really big time athlete that went to Gannon. So maybe that and then I can't find anything else where he ever got in trouble again, that kid. So I don't know if he was just in the car with, you know what I mean? But
yeah, they do. They need to look into him. I really do feel that. Same with Dr. Thrifty. He's hitting a lot of stuff, and
yes,
I kind of get worried about you guys, because you all are finding out a lot of stuff that he doesn't want you to know.
Stay public and you'll stay fine. It's when you don't put out the stuff publicly is when you're when you know something and you keep it hush hush and you don't talk about it, then nobody knows. You know what I'm trying to say? When you stay public with stuff, you're actually keeping yourself safe.
I sure hope so. Because I mean, things that people are writing about him and stuff like that, and who knows, he might be someplace in this, in this forum watching everybody.
Oh boy! All right, well, thank you so much for hitting the button.
You're welcome, and thank you for your time, and thanks for everything you do.
Oh, well, thank you there, Shipley. Appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Okay, hon.
Bye-bye.
What's up, girl? What's up, girl? Can you hear?
Yeah. Yes. Can you
What's
hear me?
jamming? Yeah, what's jamming? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. What do you got 2 minutes. What do you want to say? What do you got?
Well, I just want to say that you are definitely a sleuth at heart.
Thanks.
And
Anything else there?
oh yeah, okay, I'm sorry. There's a delay. Okay, this is my first time calling in. But what I wanted to say was for a horrific murder, you have been able to just do so much research, break it down.
Thanks.
So even I can follow it because I get confused very easily. So
Well,
I wanted to pat you on the back.
Oh, well, I'll take it here.
All the mods are great. The
they're the
TNT
best.
family is great. I'm so glad I became a member of the family.
Yes.
And I also wanted to let you know that I sent you an email wearing some of your merch and
Woo,
gave you
lingerie?
permission. Yeah, I gave you permission to pin it.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And just listening to your voice is
sweet.
I love the sound of your voice. Your laugh is totally contagious.
It's crazy.
So I am so glad that I stumbled upon you. I've been with you now probably about 3 months at least.
Since the Idaho 4 case?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I just wanted to say thank you. I appreciate you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I will definitely put you got the merch, so I'll put it up there. And we always love posting that stuff and on Fridays. So I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, it's so cute too. It's those beanies are really, really nice.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Very nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'll let you continue with your sleuthing. I just wanted to let you know about how much I appreciate you and your
well, you're a doll. Thank you.
TP fam. It's great.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, cute lashes. You keep rocking, baby.
Thank you, and stay safe. And love you. Talk to you later.
All right, bye, babe. Oh, she's a sweetheart. Don't be scared. Andrea Gardner. SU. Of that. Andrea Gardner. She's a sweetheart. Boston, you need to take the link. I was hoping that Jonathan Lee Riches would take the link, but he's sleeping, probably getting his beauty rest on. Okay, here, let me go get that picture I wanted to show you guys. Ooh. Well, Mikey, take the link and tell me why they got the right guy. They got the right guy. They would never get the wrong guy. We have a lot of things to do. I need a delivery. I'll do this for about 15 more minutes if anybody else wants to come on. My voice needs to break. You guys can carry on away with some. Long time listener, first time caller. There you go. Call in. So all you gotta do is just click on the link when I post it here. There you go. Whoopsies, not that link. Yeah, that link. Right there. If you click that, and it'll just, you don't need to like, it's so simple. Just click it. Click it or tick it. You know what's so funny is that so many people have so much to say, but then when you give them the link, then they just, Any thoughts on Brent? Yep, I'll get to all that. Carry on. You guys need to start looking up the Eco Shield. Join if you are a member. You got a behind the scenes look at that. Oh, rah. All right, rah. I'll give you a chance here, rah. Hi, rah. You're on the air with Lana. Oh, you have to hit your little unmute button. So you have to share audio and. Oh, rah said bye. Oh, there we go. What's up, Jennifer?
How are you? I've always wanted to pick your brain about a few things.
What's up? What's up, Jennifer? How are you?
Good. Okay, so I have a couple questions for you because I've been watching you for years, and I think you're cool. You pretty much know your stuff.
Thank you.
One of the questions I have that I wondered if really was kind of anybody thought like maybe this was an issue is that Brian Kohlberger was so vegan, like so freakish about it. And, his parents had to buy new pants and all this other stuff. Would he really have a leather sheath?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, I always say that anything is possible. Is it plausible? Things like that. But when you want to talk about vegan, I even go one step further. Stabbing people to death that's him
Right.
getting blood all over himself. Yeah. And I think that's, that doesn't seem to fit his, the way he's portrayed.
Profile.
Yeah.
Right. It just, and it's,
so I agree with that. I agree.
I think the sheath is the one thing that bothers me because, you have touch DNA on only the button. Where's all the other DNA that you couldn't have walked out of there.
Yep. Yeah. Oh no. And the other thing for me is just, okay, so he would have known that, oh shit, where is my sheath? He would have known that like, so
right away.
Yeah. He would have known, because what are you doing with the knife? Where are you putting the knife? Like if you think that he took his knife out of his sheath while he was in that house, well, first of all, he has gloves on, so then where does it come? You know what I mean? But
right,
he took it. He did all of that before when he got out of his car, so he's walking up to the door with his knife out. But you would, when you're leaving, at the very least, when you're leaving, you would be like, oh God, where's my sheath? Where's my sheath?
Yeah, because you would be like, oh, I have this knife I'm carrying out. I don't know how he could have walked out of that house without. There should have been just trailing.
Oh yeah,
just like what.
Well, they say that this happened in 9 minutes, and there's no time for a cleanup. What do you think this guy was doing? He's being seen on every, this. But then again, I always like to say that it's not Brian Kohlberger that you guys are seeing. You're seeing a white Elantra. You don't ever see Brian Kohlberger. You see a white Elantra, and you see it driving all over town. It looks like a drug dealer. He looks like he's delivering food, or he looks like he's picking up people. Like he could be like a Uber driver, but you don't ever see him. He's not seen on any cameras. But then this car should be loaded then with all this blood. I mean,
blood.
what did he do? What about his feet? How about his
Yeah,
feet? How about his feet to get into the car and to start using the pedals? That was always my hang up with the OJ Simpson case.
that's what
My
I was just going to say. OJ, yes.
my hang up with OJ is there was no time that unless you think that OJ got completely butt ass naked and took off all of it, I still even think that he would have had stuff depending on what type of clothing he was wearing, but he would have still had stuff on like there was no blood in that Bronco. When I say there was no blood, okay, like a little speck there that was like they had to like find from whenever that down at the
Minuscule,
pedals.
yeah.
Yeah, down at the pedal. Like there was just, that Bronco should have been so his
Covered.
yeah, his car
Covered.
like I said, unless you're getting naked in there and then if you're doing all of this takes time. If you're being so methodical and being careful and making sure that you are trying to pull off this like I want them to everybody try to like think they think this was some guy that was stalking some planning person and that he was taking out these people because of whatever reason and he was just some crazy stalking incel whatever then you're going to leave two I don't even like to use the word survivors when you're thinking about it from like the perpetrator standpoint. I have to think about it as you're leaving witnesses. You left witnesses. Dylan's bedroom window is like who's to say that she didn't go by her bedroom window and just record him walking out?
Right.
Like, oh, because she just
yeah,
ran back
it's
to her.
odd.
Think about what we do when we go to our rooms and they're just like you're trying to peek out to see who's outside. Like that's the first thing that you do. You would think like you're
It
in your
is.
room and someone just went outside. You're gonna run to your room and look outside and
Right.
see if you can see
Right.
the person,
And
like see what's going on.
yeah, I mean, and I just, I love doing true crime and stuff. My mother, not so much. So I always run things by her because I get her, unbiased opinion. And I was telling her about the, length of when the 911 call was, and she's like, "That's impossible." No, what? I was like, "You don't think that could happen?" And she said, "I don't see how she's like, yeah, somebody might be, stunned or frozen or whatever, but they would probably," and I'm not trying to disparage her. I'm just saying that, I don't think everything went down how they're saying it was. And possibly, yeah, I think possibly they kind of put words into her mouth, but, maybe didn't come out of her mouth that way because now she's not allowed to say anything. There's a gag order. She can't say, well, that's not what I said, or, that's not how that went down. And then you have a witch hunt, like you said, if you don't allow people to talk or whatever, it hurts the defendant because now you've got all you have is just a witch hunt with mainstream media saying, this is our guy. This is our guy. Well, okay, you're saying he's our guy, but there's things that aren't adding up. I mean, justice is not, justice is not served by just anybody going to jail, for the crime. Like you said, it needs to be the right people and everybody involved. Everybody. One other question I had for you.
Sure thing.
Because I know my 2 minutes are up.
Oh no, you're good.
Papa Rogers.
Yes.
Do you think that?
I do not think that was Brian. I think that was law
I don't
enforcement.
either. And let me tell you why I don't think it was Brian. Because I'm pretty sure, and I would have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure that I saw Papa Rogers had posted during the time that Coburg, very close to the time that Coburg was getting picked up by the police on his way home to Pennsylvania.
He was. Are you saying that he was posting when that happened? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying that I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I'd have to. I'm not. I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure I saw that he had posted very close to the time that he was getting pulled over by cops on the Indiana freeway.
Yeah. I never really followed. So like actually that whole profile is coming up here in, I think it's episode 7, but it's that's coming up, that stuff to do with that. And
okay,
my take on it though is that if you really think about it, The stuff that he was saying, the stuff that this account was saying, it was like going at people in a way. You know what I mean? Like it would,
Right. Yeah.
It would like kind of like, but not so much in a way that the person responded though to it. It kind of, it was almost like a designed back and
Baiting.
forth between. Yes, it was a design back and forth. So not only do I think that Papa Rogers, like whoever that person interacted with, what they were writing back, it was to garner. And so it was to garner the type of reaction and everything like that. And if you think about it, who benefits from stuff like that? And it's people that want to talk about that. And you got mainstream media talking about that. You know, think about
Right.
that. Like it's like it gives them something to talk about. So go ahead and do this. And you know, so could mainstream media and the people that were there and they have all these leaks and stuff, did someone leak the fact that this guy was so sloppy he left his sheath. And I'm just thinking to myself,
Yeah.
when I heard that, I'm like, well, what a fucking pussy. That's what I said to myself.
Right.
Like, what do you mean you a sheath?
I know.
What sheath? Like who? When did you?
Yes, I know.
I don't understand.
You're
And then,
taking
I'm gonna
you're
put
taking
my
that off.
I'm gonna put my knife
Yeah.
back in my sheath when I'm with my big clunky gloves and like, you know, it doesn't. No.
It doesn't add up, and it reminds me of the Richard Allen bullet that was found.
The magic bullet.
It does. The magic bullet that was found at the staged crime scene, mind you. That didn't make sense to me. I was like, you staged it and then you put your bullet there for what reason? That was crazy too. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. And I'm just like, it just isn't making sense.
Well, the other thing with the Richard Allen part about it for me is that when they did the probable cause for Logan, there was no mention of this magic bullet. So like in his probable cause, there was no bullet. But in this dude's probable cause, there is the bullet. So I would use that against, I would use that in court.
Oh yeah, and their theory is that
Logan's guns and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and their theory is that he cocked the gun to threaten the girls, which caused the unspent bullet to come out. Well, that doesn't hold water in a staged crime scene. So, yeah.
I also proved that Cody lived on the same street as Richard Allen. So back in the day.
Oh, I know. I heard that. Well, I appreciate you letting me come up. I just wanted to pick your brain.
Oh
and
yeah.
I
No,
listen to all your episodes, and so I apprate it.
Well, I appreciate your support. Thank you so much, and have a good enjoy. Are you off tomorrow? Off for work?
I am. I was a mortgage. I used to work for Quicken Loans. I was a mortgage broker, and then I ended up having to go on disability. So I get to do a lot of medical stuff. So I'll be doing that.
Rock your day.
I appreciate it.
Rock your day.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Oh, that was good. She did good. Those are good questions. Thank you for the membership. Appreciate it. Give it up for our girl there. Yeah, Papa was definitely law enforcement, and I think that the people that interacted with Papa, yeah, for sure. What's the link? Good question. Another good question. There you go. Oh, God. Again, welcome to everybody that's a member, a subscriber. We're winding things down here, doing something that I never do, and dropping the link for people to express themselves. And the rest will follow. And then I'm going to show you guys this picture. I have to grab my phone. What about... So I think that... who doesn't go to their room and I'd have looked out my window. That's the first thing I would have done is looked out my window and like, are there people out there like hanging out at the fire pit? Like what's going on? Oh, there's Mike drop in. Yep. I'm going to show the photo here. Hi, Mike drop in. Express yourself. But yeah, the first thing that anybody does is they look at their window. Like you hear something outside, what do? You look out your window. You're like, what's going on out there? What's going on? Even if you kind of hear something in your house, you still, I feel like you look outside. I don't know, just like a, yeah. So there's the link. Did you guys get it? I thought I shared it. All you gotta do is click it right there. Yeah, definitely watch this episode from the beginning. I think it really hits on some points of comparing the trial that's, national headline news right now with out of South Carolina. I want to call Atlanta, but I think it would be awkward for my husband to find out about us like that. That's funny. Yep, hit the thumbs up or hit the thumbs down, guys. It's okay. Make yourself known. All right, let me grab this picture. Great. I gotta send it to myself. Here. So what I was talking about earlier is that we felt like everybody looks like everybody. And a couple nights ago, Jay sent me a picture and he said, "What is this?" Let's see. Here it comes. Bless her heart. Okay. Who do we got here? What's up there, Lily?
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you? Welcome to Truth and Transparency. You are live.
So I know the jokes are gonna come along about my hair, but anyway, I did want to say hello and
jokes. Hey, welcome. You had the balls to click the link, so that's my philosophy. Well, welcome. What's up? How you doing, girl? What's on your mind?
So, I love I just love your channel. So I became a member.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
About a month or two ago. Been watching it ever since. And I just love the way you touch on things that make sense.
Thank you. So your common sense clicks in and you're just like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel you on that. Yeah. It's like just logic, like what's logical here? You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, at the beginning I was like, damn,
That's just crazy. No, I'm kidding.
No. No, I was like, damn, this guy is crazy. And I felt bad for DM. But then as you continue, and then you start thinking about it, and it's like, wait a minute. My rooms are upstairs and the kitchen is down here. And I'm thinking to myself, if I hear a noise, I'm not gonna be like, yo, shut the hell up. I'm gonna be like, what's going on? Especially if somebody's saying, somebody's here, you hear some crying. It just makes sense that you would go just to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah, you're gonna like step out. You're gonna be like, what's going on?
Not, I don't know. I think she's involved somehow, or she's just a big ass liar. I just don't know. I had a lot of sympathy for her at the beginning. I ain't gonna lie, but
no, I think that we should have sympathy for Dylan. I think that we should have sympathy for everybody because we don't know. Like, so you can still, like, you can feel for some, because we don't know. We don't know if those are even her words. We don't know if the cops just said, this is what you're going to say. Otherwise, you're involved. You get what I'm saying?
You know what did it for me, Lana, was that she didn't call. She didn't call for help. Even if she couldn't do anything, even if it was an hour later, or like you said, look out the window, make sure he left. But you could have called. You could have called, and maybe they would have had a better chance at catching him. But I did want to touch on something I saw yesterday. I don't know if it's true horror or crime horror or some website. I think I did save it.
Okay.
And they were talking about touch DNA and how a person was convicted or was being accused of killing a person because of touch DNA. And they went like through a whole big explanation how that touch DNA thing, it's just that. It's just touch DNA. I touch my coffee.
Yeah.
There's probably, damn, I just got some
It's
shit in
even
my
worse
eye.
than that. Like if you really think about like how deep it goes into, like it's not even like when you even think about the word touch, like we're thinking like touch, but stuff can transfer in ways that you wouldn't even be you'd be amazed. So that's the easiest thing though to in court. Like that's not even gonna the touch DNA for me, it's literally no.
Like me and my daughter, we talk about this because, like I said, when you're on or she hears your music, we're like, there she go.
Look out.
So we're like, I bet you, wouldn't it be one crazy crap if June 26th comes around the corner and he has, not only did he not do it, he has an alibi, he has crap to prove that he was nowhere near it. I mean, I know it's far-fetched, everybody. I know it is, but I'm just saying, wouldn't it be one crazy thing?
No, I don't think that it'd be crazy, but I think what's crazy for me is that you're going to, like, if you have all this stuff against him, that's kind of what Ann Taylor put in her response is like, hey, whatever you have, if this is something that's like open and shut, like put it out there. Why are you guys going to waste all of this time, money, and resources if you guys have this guy by the nuts? That's
true.
And if you think about things like that, it truly makes sense to me as to why are you putting the victims? Why are you putting the family? Why are you putting anybody through anything if you have a way that you can, bury this man with X, Y, and Z? So that's what kind of upsets me when people are like, oh, they got so much more to pay for. It's just like, are you reading what the defense is writing? Like if you have something if you have all this stuff, bring it now so that we can, we can deal with this if you have this, because why do any of this stuff that's going on right now?
That it's, and then this chick from News Nation, it's like
she's doing her job.
I don't even know if this shit is a real TV news show. Is it? I mean, I really don't know because I've never seen her as before in my life. But she comes up with it. This is an amazing breakthrough. No, I think I heard this like maybe a month ago somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere. It's like between you, Dr. Oh my God, my daughter's right there too. She just came in for work.
Oh, say hi.
Live.
Yeah, say hi. Hi. Woohoo.
I know.
Do a shot. Oh, you guys are too cute.
But no, we really love it, and I love that you put your time into it.
Thank you.
It really is a good thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
A lot of people take it for granted. They ain't got nothing better to do. Well, you know what? Then if you think you could do it, then you do it. And if you can find the killer, you find the killer.
Yep.
But I think it's really commendable that a lot of people take their time and they really do look into it and try to give, at the end of the day, we just really want to find the person who did it or persons and, let's try them. But we want to make
that's what I say.
The right person.
You want to get the right person.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, come on, we all have kids or like we have sisters or we have, whoever that could be coming right up the pipeline to go to this school or other schools.
Absolutely.
And you want to know what's going on out there so that this can be prevented. And I think that when people don't look at it that way, like, why do you think that Mr. Gonsalves is being the way that he's being?
And he's being good, because I tell you, I'll be all over the place. You would be doing all kinds of shows on me, like the mother again updates. She's gone crazy. Like
I would be the same way.
I would go on my mind.
Me too.
As a parent, you start thinking, like, what were the last moments? So yeah, I want to catch the person. And I don't know if you ever seen the movie Death Sentence.
Mm-mm.
Well, really quick, the guy, the father and the son are driving in the car. He flashes the high beams and to the other car, and that's like an initiation thing for gangs. And they killed the son. And when he goes to court, he knows they all did it, but he says, no, it wasn't them. And he goes after them like himself. Like that would be me. I'm thinking in my head. It probably is, but you just want to do as much as you can. But
yeah, you do.
We really want to get
you
the
want
right
you want to do as much as you can, and you want to try to be as you want to keep it factual. You're allowed to have thought-provoking questions. You're allowed to question things, people. Like, just because the police say something, I think that we've this case has proven that they're allowed to tell us lies. So at the end of the day, you're allowed to question. You have your right as a citizen, and you should exercise that right. If you want to have questions, like, you can ask questions. And I think everything in life is just about how you do it, how you handle yourself. And if I ask a question with respect and I give you respect,
my husband's in law enforcement. He's in law enforcement. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine.
I'm trying to give your voice some rest.
Good.
But he said, the one thing he doesn't understand is, like, wait a minute, if they suspected him, why didn't they just bring him in for questioning and take his DNA? That would have been so simple. Like, you didn't have to, follow him, lose him. Like, FBI, if they really lost him for 15 hours, like, that's in itself scary. But this guy, he probably said, you know what? I know I didn't do this crap. I'm going to let them rock. You know what? At 4:00 in the morning, I'm going to go wash my car. And, like, give them something to talk about. And then, you know what?
Let's give them something to talk about. All right. Well, you rock, girl. Thank you so much. Tell your daughter I said thank you for the props as well. And you guys have a great week and enjoy the rest of your Sunday night.
Yes.
All right.
Thank
cool.
you. And you too. And bye. Right. And thank you to the mods too, especially Maple.
Oh yeah. Aren't they sweethearts? They're awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, they're the only reason I have fans. So bye, girl. Oh, she's a sweetheart. Oh. Nope. Did you drink some Kahuna juice? Okay, anyways, take a look, guys. This is, what do you guys think? Tell me that is not a, so I get this sent to me. Jay sends this to me. I want to show you another picture. And I start just laughing. Like, I mean, how do I not laugh at this? Let me pull up this other picture. I'm laughing. And she's like, look at, it's Brian's dad. He's a cop there. I said, are you out of your mind? She's like, no, I'm telling you, look at this. Like, God. I got another one that will, okay. Give you another view. Oh gosh. Bless us all. She's doing like mouth close-ups, you name it. She's like, who is that? And I said, who is what? She's like, I'm sending it to you right now. I said, she's like, she's like, Lana, you know every cop on the force. Who is that? I said, who is it? She's like, that's Brian's dad. I said, oh my God. I said, you're right, it's him. She's like, no, seriously, you know every cop on the force. I said, girl, you crazy. She's like, tell me that's not Brian's dad. I said, wow. I said, I can't. I didn't have anything to say. I was like, yeah, it's Brian's dad. There she is. Somebody told her. Jay, take the link. Jay, be my last caller. Oh, here you go. Oh, come on. We'll end on a good note here, and then I'm done. Here you go. Hit that. You don't have to come on camera. Don't worry about it. God. That is not Brian's dad. You guys, we know it's not Brian's dad. Come on. We know it's not Brian's dad. You guys, that is not Brian's dad. For real, though, who is he? You guys, we know it's not Brian's dad. Oh my God, Dad. Hi.
Hey.
Hey, girl, you're on Truth and Transparency. Tell me about your night.
Oh, thanks for taking my call tonight. I appreciate it.
I slid you in, girl.
Yeah, I was just kind of watching your live, and I saw a bunch of laughing faces in the chat, and I was like, "What the fuck? What's going on? What's so funny here, right?" And then I look at the screen and I see Brian's dad, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" So I sat back and I listened for a second, and I'm like, "Wow, she's showing that picture I sent her, right?" Then I see you laughing about it.
Sure.
Listen, I'm just gonna say, laugh all you want. You'll laugh all you want. You guys will find out there's something sus with that, because if it isn't his dad, okay, I'll give you that. Who is he?
I don't know.
Okay, but who is he? This is important.
No, that's what I was telling everybody. I was like, Jay says, Lana, you know the whole damn department.
Right.
Who the fuck is this guy?
Exactly. Like, we've seen all their pictures. Like, who is he?
And I was like, so here, let me see how I want to do this. If I do, I'm going to share this one. Hold on. Because I was like, okay, there's multiple ones. Well, you just sent me the one where you give me like here, Lana, look at, there's like all these different angles.
You know what? Laugh all you want.
I do. I'm
gonna keep sending you that shit too.
She's like, who? She's like, Lana, you know everybody in the department.
I'm like, who is this?
There it is. And I was like, what? She's like, it's Brian's dad.
I mean, look at his. Okay, I mean, really. I made a video. I put this in it because I'm dead serious. His gait. There's not many people that have a gait like that, and the fact that he's supposedly like Moscow PD in that picture. Who is he? That wasn't that long ago. It was only a couple months before the murders.
Well, it was from, I think that's the daytime cam. So that'd be August 16th, 2022.
Right, mm-hmm.
And them back shots, though, taking some back shots. Yeah.
Oh
so
my God,
like,
I almost just spit out my coffee. Are you? The back shot is where it's at. That's where I really was like, wow. It's uncanny.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? And then all I could do is I was spitting out when you sent this to me, because you're like, what are you doing? I'm like, looking at two blank screens.
Because I can't work my monitors.
Because I can't work my monitors. Hey, what's up, girl? Nothing. What are you doing? Looking at two black screens right now.
I'm like, oh, well, let me send you this.
Yeah. So you guys, we put it out there for you. I don't know.
I'm like, you've looked at every person on this force. Who is he?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
so what does chat think? I know a lot of them were laughing at me, and I remember who you are, people. I saw your names.
Oh, well, everybody in this case has like a double. So that's all I was saying, is that everybody has a double.
They do. Everybody has a double.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Okay, so get this. I found something else weird.
Oh, great.
So I'll share this tomorrow in my live. I think that I found, do you remember Jeremy spoke in class today? The neighbor, Jeremy?
Yeah, Jeremy Reagan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jeremy Reagan. I found an old video of Jeremy Reagan from WSU, from 11 years ago. I'm going to share that.
Well, I came across some you know, other stuff that might be important, Jay. You got Jimmy.
Oh, like case stuff. I find all of this important.
Well, it's all.
So that's
it's all...
you know what? That's why we mash together and make it work, right?
Yes. So I came across
Mhm.
the let's see, what was it? Oh yeah, the phone that he's using in this. It's he can't use the phone that he's using. What's the word I want to use? God bless Atlanta. Get it together.
What are you talking about?
The officer
Payne?
that's with him. The officer that's with him. I'll make a video too. Let me just
Oh, you mean the daytime officer?
Yeah,
The
who's
one that's with
writing?
Brian's dad?
Yeah.
Now, how many of you put a 1 in chat if you think that Brian
Okay.
and his dad like look like father and son? Like,
Yeah.
if you saw them out in public, would you be like, "Oh my God, he can't deny him"?
Okay, yeah, that's Jay's next thing is that this is not his dad. So a 1 in chat if you think that Brian Kohlberger's dad is his biological father.
Yeah, that's the question of the day. Do you think that he
So
is his bio dad?
so 1 is if you do think it, and what? 2 is if you
2
don't?
is if you don't. Yeah, put a
Okay.
1 if you think that the guy in the car on the drive back is his bio dad. Put a 2 if you think no way.
Interesting.
I don't think it's his bio dad either. And that's where I've been shook this whole time because they went all the way to Pennsylvania. I just heard your caller. She was amazing, by the way.
Yeah, I
But
only
heard her
pick out
say,
dimes.
like, it's ridiculous to think that, you know, they would have to go all the way to PA to get his dad's DNA to prove he committed a crime. Like, I've never heard of such. Like, did they go, you know, did they travel across the country to get other parental DNAs? No. They follow the perp around until they get something like a straw or a fork, something they ate with, you know, something like that. I just read Pinellas County. They did they solved a 40-year-old cold case in February here. And the way they did it, they lured this guy by setting up a free meal site at a restaurant they knew he liked, and he went. And they waited till he got done eating. They took his utensils and they matched the DNA. They don't need to drive and get his dad's. I don't believe that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't call something. Okay, so you're looking for this white Elantra. When you're getting these tips and like, what are you doing with them? Did you call the dude? No. What do you mean you didn't call him?
Yeah, like,
What
like
did you
you said,
did you do with
knock
the
on
other white
door?
Elantra? Like, what did you do with the other white Elantras that are all roaming around
The other
Moscow's?
19,999 of them?
Yeah. So I just think they're going to have a hard time talking about this on the stand unless literally, if this is all I say to myself, either I won't cover true crime anymore if this question does not come up in court to be like, okay, so when Jose called you and said, hey, we found a vehicle. Well, how many vehicles did he find? He just called you on the one. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, so how many did he find? What's the list? What did he supply you
No,
with?
I heard. Yeah, I've been listening to you for a while. I was joking.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So you finally had the balls to write in.
You said I want to see the report of where it queried from, right?
Yeah, because there is no list. I'm betting $5,000 that there's no list.
So the more that you talk about this, and like you said, like if this, you know, all doesn't come up, like you're gonna be like, I'm not following this crap anymore. But like, what if he ends up pleading out, taking some kind of a deal?
I don't think he is. I don't think he is. I think it would have already happened.
I don't know, man. If it's like some kind of if he's a patsy, like a lot of people are saying he is, there he could be. How do we know?
I think that he could possibly be involved because it could be. I don't think this is just a one man thing. What's been going on in that area is multiple.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How do we know it doesn't go court deep? You know, like
everything goes law enforcement deep. If you want to get protected, how do you think you get protected? You can't protect me unless you have the ability to protect me. And the only way that you have the ability to do that is if you have some type of pull with the people that can either bring charges on you, not bring charges on you, arrest you, not arrest you. I mean, those are the only people that could, you know, you have to have that type of pull. It's not even just like being exonerated. It's about like somebody not even getting arrested. It's like we need somebody else. And this is how I could see it happening. If my kid or I go down for this, I'm bringing down this whole university. I'm bringing down you, and I'm bringing down everything that we've ever done. It's all coming down. So you're either going to protect me or we're all going down.
And who do you think that could be coming from? Brian himself or somebody else?
Absolutely not, because he would have never gotten arrested.
Mm-hmm.
This is coming. This is from the.
But I'm still perplexed
This is from the
on
talks
the DNA.
right away.
On the DNA, the dad matching the DNA. And the fact that like at least 50% of your chat doesn't think that's his biological dad. So I guess my question for the people that don't think that's his bio dad, what is your theory on the DNA and, you know, saying it was a definite match to that man?
Well, let me ask you this. So we're going to sit here and like, let's talk about this. This is a very simple question. We're going to sit here and say that he, from 11/29, when they would have known about him, which I believe it was before that, but whatever. Let's just go with 11/29. From 11/29 to 11/15 or 11/4. When did he leave? 11/13 or 12/13. I mean, so from 11/29 to 12/13. Okay. They could never come across the point in time to get his DNA. Now, now think about this. Think about this. He's a TA. He works. He has like, what's going on here? Like,
right.
You get what I'm saying? Like, it's, why do you think that they did the probable cause of the apartment? They said, don't use the dad's DNA to do this. Don't use the dad's.
Yeah. Don't even take that into consideration.
Why? Why do you, who would ever fucking write that?
Why would they say that? That didn't make sense either.
Like, come on. Like, come on, Dawn.
Well, what's your theory on why they would say that?
I think that at that point it should be, they should have to write another thing up. I don't think that should be able to be even in it if you're telling me not to use it.
Yeah.
Now you've just tainted me. Like, how is that? Like, what? Why are you even writing that? If you don't want me to use
don't
it,
even
why are you
include it in
writing
there?
it? Why are you even mentioning it?
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's very
I mean, are we all a bunch of idiots? Like, I know I'm not an idiot. And if y'all want to be idiots, go right ahead. But I'm not an idiot. And you ain't going to pull one over on my ass. I'm going to be like, excuse me?
So do we know, like, I know you've looked into Ann Taylor. Where did she go to school? Is she a UI grad too?
You know what? Actually, I don't think she went there. Did she go there for law school?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked. I just thought of that. Because it seems like everybody's a UI grad. Like the clerk of courts, Julie Fry, she's a UI grad. The chief of police is a UI grad. The judge is a UI grad. Megan Marshall. So it's just kind of interesting that they all.
Scott Cleary's a UI grad.
Yeah. It just, there's that common denominator that they all went to school there. So.
I guess, I mean, it's a pipeline. I don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to see that. It's frustrating to live in the United States of America and to see people be like, you know, he's so guilty. He's the devil. Myself, what, do you not know anything about? Like, do you hear yourself right now?
Like, a lot of people are going to probably feel stupid if, you know, because they've already made it clear there's a co-defendant and there's an informant. Most likely.
You can. But the way that the world should be working is that, you guys, we are innocent until proven guilty. And just to see it the opposite way, it just really, it's so sad.
Yeah.
You guys, he can be the guy. It's fine. He can be the guy. But no, we can't go out there and just like, I don't understand that. I don't.
But it's been like that since the beginning of media, hasn't it? I mean,
well, then people need to call into the media and say,
but it's
hey,
now,
can I ask you guys a question?
But now the media has gone beyond just mainstream media. Now the media is YouTube. You know, these people creating and
well, the media is the internet. If you have a way to get on the internet and give yourself a platform, you know?
Right. It's not traditional anymore.
Yeah. It's just sad. It's just really sad. Because how could any of us out there be like okay with that? If you were in that situation, you'd be like, God, why does everybody think I did this? Well, because they didn't arrest you for nothing. Okay, well, God bless America. Literally bless America. Jay. So yeah, that's the picture I got from Jay, by the way. Yeah, everybody is innocent until, damn it, I clicked off. Here, click back on. Everybody, it's just, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's all that I will ever say. Like, ask me how I feel right now about, I said it earlier in the program. Right now, the prosecution has rested its case against Alec. Right? The hang up for me with his case is a shitty person doesn't make you a murderer. Because he steals from people doesn't mean he's going to go kill his family. He was basically stealing for his family.
Who's that?
Alec. So my always hang up with this Alec case is that he basically stole for himself, for his family, to have all the things that they wanted to go do and whatever. Like, he's a greedy bastard, right? But just because you're a greedy bastard doesn't mean that you're a murderer, right? Okay. So like, and just because you want to
that's a crazy case too.
Yeah, it's totally crazy. It's totally crazy. But it's as hard as it's to say to that person that, you know, he's innocent until proven guilty. He is. So as the trial is happening before our eyes, I went in there with, okay, dude, he's innocent. I can think he's a piece of shit as a human being. Abso-freaking-lutely. Okay, piece of shit. And you know, I want to see the evidence, though. I can think he's a piece of shit, but you're innocent until proven guilty. So now start putting on your show of your case. And right now, the way that I stand right now is, I always said that it's not like anything against him would go away if his wife and kid were gone. It doesn't make him not have this case. The boat case is what brought everything on Alec. They started digging into his finances because he's a stupid fuck. And if all he had to do was settle with these families and give them this money, okay, give them money, make them a deal. Like, if you want to talk about a smart, you know, business person, you make them a deal so they go away. He didn't do that. So they kept digging into his finances. That's what they want to know. But that boat accident is what, and he's like talking about, I just got to clear Paul's name. Well, why would he want to clear Paul's name so bad? You know, and I think he was just saying that because, no, it's not just Paul's name. You provided the alcohol. You did this, you did that. You know what I mean? And then you were trying to tell these families that their kid drove the boat. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So all I kept seeing, though, in that is protecting, you know, his kid, protecting his kid, stealing money so that his family could have all this. Now you're going to sit here and tell me that he went out and murdered his kids, or his kid rather, and his wife. Okay. And I'm going to sit here and tell you, well, yeah, the guy just tried to kill himself so that they could collect some $10,000 or $10 million, just wild type of stuff. Right. I said, I wanted to see everything, and there's nothing wrong with that. You should want to see everything.
Right.
Okay. You should want to see
everything.
everything.
Lana, too, like in this, back to the Idaho case, like, we haven't seen everything yet. You know, Ann Taylor obviously has seen more than we have, but I mean, it doesn't sound like they had a whole lot of evidence even collected from the scene, considering it was supposedly such a bloody, complex scene to process and everything. They didn't walk away with as much as I thought. But
no, and they had to come back on November 25th and get 10 more pieces. So those 10 more pieces went from 103 to 113 pieces.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So how I feel though right now is that the digital evidence against Alec is very, very strong in my opinion. That right now I would be leaning towards guilty, but the defense hasn't put on their case. So the defense better blow up the digital evidence, which I think they can do that, but that's what you have to do. Because for me, that video of him being there at the dog kennels on that Snapchat video and his voice being there, very damning. And him calling the police within 20 seconds, very damning.
Mm-hmm.
But now, how are they so accurate with all of that they have that GPS like crazy like that?
That is insane.
Yeah, but I'm trying to compare that to, now let's talk about like this case. So are we going to be able to have all of these kids' digitals like this?
I know.
And I think that if you're talking about,
Well, I mean, we also learned in there not just the car, but like his cell phone could tell like when you turn it from portrait to landscape even.
Isn't that crazy?
I had
what
no
type
idea.
Of phone does he have? What type of phone?
I think it was an iPhone. I think it's an iPhone, and it can tell when you even turn it. Like what?
Yeah,
So this whole TikTok, I was on TikTok at for whatever for Xana, probably could be proven if she was actually on it. I would.
Well, yeah, and if she like put the see, all of this stuff can be proven, but you have to be the people that are AKA doing the investigation, they have to go get all the stuff. Like, you can't have, if it's not in discovery, if you don't go and get it. So what did they gather from people? What did they get from everybody? When people came in, and if it wasn't just like Bethany and Dylan, when they were interviewing whoever, were they asking them, hey, can we get your DNA? Hey, can we download your phone and get all your, what's up? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you have nothing to hide, then you're just gonna and it's like, well, I have nothing to hide, but if I'm doing other things, I don't want you to know about that either, but I have nothing to hide with this case. I have nothing to hide with. I didn't do anything to any of these people, but at the same time, I don't want you all on my motherfucking shit. Like, kick rocks. But I didn't do any of this. So I want my lawyer here so that we can figure out how this all works, because I'm not getting caught up in some bullshit.
Yeah.
I didn't kill nobody, but I didn't,
Right. I mean, it could be altogether possible that he was like watching them, like he said, but it doesn't mean that he actually went in and killed 4 people.
Yeah. And I just know how it is. Like, if you don't know how to stick up for yourself and to say that, then you get cops saying, well, let me tell you how bad it looks, and da-da-da. And if you don't start talking, then we're going to start thinking that you had something to do with this. And my biggest thing, like in that type of a situation, when it comes criminal, I want a lawyer. I have nothing to say. I will be totally cooperative once I talk to my attorney, because you're talking crazy right now. You're talking. You think I killed 4 people? Yeah, I want an attorney. You think I have anything to do with this? Yeah, I want an attorney. Like, and
what do you think about the fact
all
that
my stuff? No,
that guy, the defense lawyer in Pennsylvania, said he talked to him for 30 minutes before he clammed up.
I thought it was like 15, but yeah, like, because I think it was like he wanted to. I want to know.
Feel it out.
I want to know. Well, I would be like,
he didn't know what they had on him at that point.
Well,
and then when he got back to Idaho and saw that, he was probably like, what the fuck?
I gotta just go back to like.
There's someone in your chat called Subconscious Mouth.
Oh, yeah.
And they said there's a potential motive no one's discussing about the Idaho case. Would you like for me to send you the video I made about it? I'm curious what the motive is that no one's talked about. Subconscious. I would love to see your video. I think there's a lot of motives.
BK's lawyer will say where BK was around 3 to 5. She doesn't have to say anything about it. That's the thing. They have to prove where he was or where he wasn't.
Isn't it weird?
I'm curious to see how she goes about it.
Isn't it weird how like the general public following this case went from immediately when he was arrested, oh my God, it's Ted Bundy. It's this, that, like we were all like looking at serial killers and how this has evolved. Not really getting a whole lot of information is wild to me too, because it's the sleuthers
Well, that's
that
what
have been.
that's the whole point. That's how you can bury stuff. If you're so open and you tell if you tell everybody everything, then you can't. This gag order is bullshit.
It's total bullshit. And I agree with what you said earlier too, when you were like, if this was like they said how complex this was.
Mm-hmm.
A stalker killing his stalkee is not really complex. Like, you should be able to pull the digital evidence. He stalked them. He did this. He showed up here. He showed up there. He made these, advances. He was at this place. You should have all that. It shouldn't be complex at all.
Mm-hmm.
If
Exactly.
it's one person, you should be able to pull all their stuff and have enough.
Yeah, how is this complex?
Why so secretive? I don't. It's looking ridiculous at this point.
This is a complex case.
Mm-hmm. We heard that numerous times.
Yeah, and it's like, well, then this isn't a incel stalker. I want what you guys have, and I'm gonna kill you because I don't have it. That's not complex to me. Also, they kept on saying that there was no danger, no threat to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So this was an isolated, targeted attack.
Targeted, we don't know if it was the house or the people in the house.
Or if it was like the business.
Right. I think you're right though. I think we definitely need to keep an open mind, and I think this is a case that's a perfect example for, reeling us back from, zeroing in on one person that the media is showing us his face every day.
Lana, is it typical for non-Greek students to party with Greek students? Girls get away with whatever. So girls, but boys, you're not going to frat parties if you're not. Yeah, if you're a boy, you're not just going into frat parties, and that's the only time that happens is around rush. Can
we talk about one of my theories? I don't know if you want to talk about that on your channel.
What's your theory, God? Jesus.
You know what it is. I'm not going to say it outright, but do you mind talking about that or no?
I don't know.
I'm just going to talk generally. Okay, so I have a question because I know nothing about frats. So I know it's a different world than, when I was college age. We now have the issue of transgenders, right? And it was a huge deal in Moscow, and it still is. There was actually a doctor that came to town wanting to perform the vaginoplasty or whatever. And he got chased out of town, basically. Okay, but he did perform quite a few surgeries while he was there in Moscow, Pullman. Well, at any rate, I'm wondering, how would traditional Greek life frat boy react to a transgender if they weren't aware of it? Like, maybe someone hadn't all the way gone through the change. How would frat boys treat someone like that had been a boy to a girl, do you think? I'm just curious.
I think that goes I think that's hate across the board. So how
so
it would be
that, okay. I just don't know.
I mean, that's a hate
that
crime.
Generation is very accepting, and it's a lot. I mean, my kids are that age, so I know how my kids feel about things like that, and I just didn't know if it would be different because like that frat kind of mentality is a little different than just the regular college kids. So
yeah, I think that if this has to do with DM, I don't think that she is, but if that's what it's about.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know who is or who isn't. But
you're just saying like how would the
reception be?
So basically it'd be like this. Let's say that somebody transgendered in high school. And so then they go in, they rush, let's say, because they went from a girl to a guy, let's just say. So they go and they rush when they get to college, they go and they rush a frat because they're now a dude. And then when you're saying like when they were, doing rush or whatever, or maybe like a year or two later, they find out that the person is not really, well, that biologically they were a female? Is it like, I'm just like throwing this out there. Is that like, and then how would they react
Yeah.
to
Yeah, I
that
mean, either way, like
person?
if they found out that maybe they weren't born a female, or if they found out that they hadn't, actually changed over. Either way,
You know what I think? I
I see them
think,
being very mean to someone like that.
well, I think that I'm curious if it's already written in any of the rules. They have like handbooks and stuff, like secret society. Like, has that ever been mentioned?
Yeah, has that
Because
ever
like,
been an issue?
because like, if you think about it, for like Ohio high school athletics, there was a huge big, we got to talk about we have to talk about it if like a girl wanted to become a dude or vice versa, and now they're able to compete in sports against, okay, there were other girls, but yet they were born a man, so they're going to be way stronger and stuff like that with wrestling, you know what I mean? Like, so that became like a big,
Yeah. Yeah.
talking point with like, okay,
Sports
well,
and stuff like that.
mhm.
Well, I mean, I know it was an issue because I found there was some news articles from the Lewiston area when Lanier was a cop still down in Lewiston. He actually arrested
Lanier.
someone. Yeah, my
Lanier.
buddy Lanier. Lanier. He arrested someone at the Albertsons grocery store in Lewiston for going in the female bathroom, a transgender. The
Yeah, you had
grocery
that
store.
article. I
Yeah,
saw
they
that
called the
article.
police and said this person is in the female bathroom, and he came and they got a ticket. So it's not something that
Yeah,
is.
they did. Yeah, it is. It's in the article.
Yeah, so it's like that obviously is kind of an issue around there. I mean, I've never seen anything like that in my area. I've never seen any articles like that. Um, so
I just think
it's
Greek
something to
life
take
in
into
general.
consideration.
I just think that Greek life in general, when you think about like this whole, like, you're supposed to like like this whole inclusion and blah blah blah, and you're raising kids like right now, like everybody gets a trophy and blah blah blah,
Yeah.
like that whole thing.
Well,
But then
Greek
when you get
life
to
is
college,
definitely.
it's not like that.
But yeah, it's definitely not like that because you go around and get bid on, right? And like your best friend might get chosen by this sorority and you won't, right? So not everybody wins. And I don't know, man, I just think that could be, I don't know if that's anything to do with the murders. I just think it's an interesting angle to understand the community and understand the mindset around there. I think it's just interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a
I
different place.
I don't think it has anything to do with the murders. I think the murders have to do with but I get I think it's an interesting concept because I'm shocked if they haven't talked about it yet, because it's being talked about, with high school athletics. So you would think that it's going to be talked about in.
Yeah, I mean, if they were worried about bathrooms, they certainly had to address athletics at the university level. They probably wouldn't advertise what they decided, but I'm sure it's there somewhere. It's got to be. If they're arresting people for going in the women's bathroom, they definitely had to have taken a stance.
I just think it's also sad, like racism, like that's taught, like hate is taught across the board. Like, how does your kid, when they're growing up, like they shouldn't know any different? Like, I just hate is taught. I don't get it. And parents like think that, like, dude, what do you mean? Like, if you're,
but
hate's
is
taught.
it? But see, that's where it goes. It goes deeper than that to me. I don't know if it's necessarily could be hate if and this is a totally different issue, but if the guy doesn't know and then he finds out, I mean, I think my son would be a little wigged out. Like he's told me, Mom, I hate being on these meet me sites or whatever the hell these kids go on. He's like, because I don't know if I'm talking to a boy or a girl sometimes. And he was completely honest with me about that. And as a mother of a boy who's 23 years old, for that to be a concern for him, I would think that would be a concern for other boys that age. I mean, I'm just going to say it.
Who they're talking to on the internet?
It doesn't mean I hate people like that, but I mean, that's a valid concern, I would think.
Oh, you mean like, no, I'm talking about like in person. I'm talking
Well,
about
I mean, like let's say you're
bullying
dating
and.
someone and you find out that they used to be a boy and you're a guy.
When do you
Like,
when do you think that you're going to find out about that?
I don't know. What if someone, that knows them leaks it? I don't know. I mean, you're given a scenario I don't know the answers to, but all I'm saying is I don't think it would be received well by a 23-year-old boy to find out that this girl that he thought was pure, or his buddies for that matter. I think his buddies would tease the hell out of him. I think he'd be humiliated. And that's just how I feel about it. It's how I see those guys. I mean, I see how they
Yeah,
act
so
with their
then, like,
hazing and their.
yeah, so I would never recommend that. I mean, I think that I also have to ask this question, like, why ever put yourself in a situation to um like be if you feel uncomfortable or like
I just think it's a double-edged sword, you know?
I would just never join a frat if I was a
Oh
guy,
no,
and
and
I
I
would
heard
never
you say
join
that
and I
too.
would
Like,
never join a sorority if I was a girl, and I am a girl. I would never join either one of them just for the mere fact that I can't imagine. Like, it's one thing in athletics, like, you are XYZ, like, you make the basketball team because you are a good athlete and you know, your abilities, okay? But can you imagine if you didn't make the basketball team because nope, you need to have blonde hair,
right.
you need to have bigger boobs, you need to have, you know, or your parents have like these like it's
I mean, if
based
they're gonna
based
be
on
that
ability, like that's just
you're too
like
chubby for this
math
person.
class, like a math club, like um it's your ability. We didn't pick you to be in math club because oh my god, you are a dime, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But like, okay, so but a sorority or fraternity, like, why are you picking these people? Like, what's going on here?
Well, and like you're saying, like they choose based on looks, right? So they go around and they see, oh, she is a perfect example of what Sigma Pi or whatever wants to, emulate. So they choose girls based on how they look. So if you take it a step further with the whole transgender issue, God, if they're picky about someone being too chubby, imagine, that. It's just I don't know. I just think that it could pose a problem. And I'm not saying it did in this case, but it could.
Yeah.
It's just a whole nother layer of issues that this generation has to deal with, in my opinion.
I think that I think at the end of the day, anybody's going to be upset if you lie to them. So
Right.
if you lie about, you know, like if I never asked you if you were transgendered, okay, but if that conversation ever came up and you lied to me, if I ever asked somebody a question and they lied to me, when you lie across the board. You know what I mean? So I think that anything in life, the way I look at it is if you want to know things about people, you ask them questions. If you want to know something, you ask somebody questions. Then they're going to answer your questions. If you find out that anybody's lied to you at any point in time, regardless of what it would be,
Mm-hmm.
a lie is a lie. So I don't even think it has to do with like how would you feel about, for me, somebody being transgendered or whatever.
I think for a guy, it's different, though. I think that it could hit them in their manhood, and
but I think that if you really take a step back though and ask yourself why you ended up liking that person and what it was and blah blah blah, but if they never lied to you, then
right.
Well, they deceived me because I thought that they were a girl, and I told them that I was attracted. Like, but see, that goes to the whole deception, and I think that it's kind of like this: how would you feel if you dated somebody and they didn't tell you that they had herpes? When should you tell somebody that you have herpes? When would you tell somebody that you have? So I think that that's kind of like the same type of,
kind of, I guess.
Well,
It's deceit. But if you look at the transgender thing, like
I mean, I don't know.
really,
You guys give people like questionnaires when you talk to people. I
no, I mean,
don't
think
trust the
that's how
internet
it
as it
goes.
is.
Like, I don't think that's how it goes. I don't think someone would sit down and say, "Hey, I've got to tell you something." Like, I've always felt like a girl my whole life, and then when I was 17, I did this. Da, da, da. I don't think in a casual dating relationship in college that's going to come up. I think you're going to want to be who you feel and not revisit that past life that you left, because that's ultimately what they do, right? they leave that past life behind that they didn't feel comfortable in, and they live their life as the gender they feel comfortable in. So I don't think they're gonna be honest with a college guy and be like, hey, by the way, dude, I used to be like you and now I'm not. I don't think that's gonna come up.
Yeah, and I also think that this is, if you really truly look at the whole big picture, is more so like now with the generation of like people that would be like 20 years younger than me in their 20s, even like in their teens or whatever. Everything's changing to, I believe, accommodate that, where you're identify with like it's more so that you're being aware of that, I guess, at a younger age. Like that wasn't something that was
right.
You know, like having bathrooms, you have the men's, you have the women's. Nope, these are just unisex now.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, that's
that
why
wasn't
I
a thing
asked.
back
I didn't
then.
know if the
You know?
generations had changed
Yeah.
with what, they would get upset about.
Yeah. But this went way off the topic of like.
Well, it did, and that's fine. I mean, that's what discussions do, I mean, you don't get anywhere when you don't discuss stuff, but
Yeah, but
I'm not saying it has
this is
anything to do
definitely
with
Brian's
murders.
uncle.
It's just a layer of the Moscow madness.
Oh, yeah, we have mods. Why? Do you not have chat mods, Lana? Yep, there's mods. There's 1,600 people though in here.
Damn.
So it's,
Well, I appreciate you letting me get that off my chest. I mean,
well, I'm so glad that you got that off your chest.
Well, I mean, it's something that I came across, and it bothers me. Things like this bother me when, I'm looking into who's handling this case and I'm finding all these little breadcrumbs. It's weird. So
Yeah, no, I think it's a small town too. I mean, clearly, I think we both feel the same way about what's been going on in the area there. And
I think that the drug aspect is the craziest one with, I was just saying this earlier. We were talking.
I think that whole like sex thing though too, like that Snapchat 2.0, that OnlyFans 2.0, that I was like that it's gotten taken to another level. Like, I think it's more acceptable. So how do we know? Yeah, like when they want to talk about like a threesome, like a love triangle gone wrong, and that's not true, and the drugs aren't true. I don't know why Ethan's parents wanted to come out right away, and like I didn't even know those were rumors at the time. Like who was putting out these rumors that it was drug related and that it was a love triangle? Like who was in a love triangle?
Thanks, Draw Latina.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. Hi, girl.
She loves the deep ethical questions.
Mm-hmm.
See, she doesn't laugh at me.
No.
Me and Draw have had some deep convos, haven't we, Draw? We've had some deep combos. I don't think there was any anti-trans rhetoric. We're just discussing. I don't think there was anything that needed to be removed. I didn't see anything bad.
Yeah, no. Nothing. I mean, that everybody in here is
Her mods
usually
got it.
Top notch. Top notch quality right there. That's Brian's uncle, by the way. I did some thinking.
Oh my god! Now he's his uncle.
Yeah.
What would you say if I told you I found home videos of him as a kid? Would you laugh at me? Wait for it. Wait for it.
Girl, I can't.
I got a whole theory on this one.
The only reason I'm running this track so long is because tomorrow everyone has off. People are, laying in bed listening like, dude, Lana and Jay are crazy.
We are crazy. What can I say?
Crazy fun. Crazy fun. Well,
but another good live tonight.
Thanks.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you. I was enjoying what some of the people were calling in about too. I honestly, everybody here when they like write, when you're watching it from StreamYard, the comments come so much later, but everybody always has good insight when they're writing in the comments here, and I appreciate those. And then they write in the comment section of the video, and I try to look through those, and I'll get emails and stuff, but I love the people that come in here and chat. They think, you know what I mean? They're not soldiers of like, okay, you told me this and this is how it is. Like,
Right.
so
They're open for discussion.
yeah. And they're seeing it for what it is. Like, hey guys, hello. They told us this, but guess what? Now when they put out the PCA and like they wrote it, oh no, Dylan was on, on the second floor. That was her bedroom.
Yeah.
And I think it probably helped for people to see like, oh, well, Lana pointed that out. Like, I went on the record and said it. Like, this is fact, man. I'm telling
Maddie,
you.
what did you tell Adam? I told Adam everything.
Everything. I think. Well, see, all of this stuff though, like,
but then they're dead.
It's all going to come out. It's
hours.
all going to come out in court, and I think it's going to help the defense. And I think that's why this whole gag order, it was not to protect the defense. Like they try to say, no, it's not. It's not to. I don't think this is going to get moved either. I don't see this getting. Moscow has had their grip on this the whole way. This is staying in that county.
Hey, before I hop down, I have a trivia question for you.
Okay. All right.
You ready? Okay,
Sure.
This is for chat too. So Lana in chat.
All right, what do we got?
Okay. So how much do you think C. Scott Green, the president of UI, makes per year? Is it more than 500,000? Is it more than 200,000?
No, it's actually the head coach makes like Mike Leach was making more than him. He took a huge pay cut to take this job at like 439,000.
Yeah, he makes almost $500,000 a year.
Oh, girl. Oh. I did a whole Coomer deep dive. His name is his you know what his first name is though? Coomer.
Coomer. Coomer. Yeah, I did see that.
Coomer.
I did see that.
Green.
And he was pulled from New York City.
Mm-hmm. He took a huge pay cut to take this job, and you got to think about what's he getting. And guess what his number one thing was when he took this job? It was all about safety.
Yeah, he didn't like how things were being run before, so he thought him coming in was going to make the college campus a safer place. Nomad life. Who makes $500,000?
Mm-hmm.
Scott Green.
Yeah. He makes like it's something like 439,000 and 40,000, something like that. But the football coach makes double or triple him.
No way. The one that died?
I think Mike Leach was getting 1.4.
And why did he leave there? Because he wasn't working there when he died. He was in Tennessee. I was trying to figure out what happened to him at WSU. Why he left.
Maybe it was a WSU coach that was just getting.
Well, he was there and then he left, I was trying to figure out why, but I couldn't find anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wood Fairy, I will put it.
I haven't deep dived the Idaho football coach yet, so.
No, me either.
I'll get on that for you though.
You're so condescending. I love
you. I love you.
No, you don't. No, you
yes,
don't.
I do. I love when you ask me. No, they're my favorite. Wait, what's the?
I just like to know everything.
You do know that the Idaho football is not even.
You want to be a
Division
lawyer,
1.
and I want to know everything. So, ask Kim.
Ask who?
Who's Kim? Oh, that mom. Yes, I did a deep dive also on the previous prosecutor of Latah County. That is really interesting stuff, man.
Who was that? Don't know.
I can't remember his name offhand, but he ultimately got caught stealing a potted plant from the Lowe's and was arrested. I can't make this shit up, dude. I swear to God, he got caught stealing a potted plant and he was arrested, but he's been dirty. He was part of a partner of his brother and his father, and they booted him from the practice. He got involved in some stuff, but I'm going to do a video on that because it's pretty interesting. Because I was like, when did Santa Claus come on the scene? Because Santa hasn't really done much.
You know what's crazy is Bill Thompson. He was just taking interviews left and right. Like, Brian's right there. Like, hey, can I get? Yeah, he sits down right with him. And he's just chumming it up with every time like he's talking. He's doing these interviews with them.
Mm-hmm.
And until like obviously like I think somebody was like, dude, you need to stop talking to people.
Yeah.
Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing? And I think that was the FBI, but
where was the FBI while they were all talking? It's like,
well, I was also like, I just think that what are you going to come over to them? It's not their case. It's not, hey, you can't talk. It's just like, when people say that everybody's in cahoots, I don't think that everybody's in cahoots. I think that they don't tell people some stuff, and that's what you kind of see. But then you scared the shit out of Mabbit, and she's just like, oh yeah, it was the bloodiest scene I've ever. Yeah, it was.
Well, the
lot of
boy
blood.
says that
Lot of
he's
blood.
been there forever, that
Lot of
Thompson
blood.
has been there forever, but he hasn't because this other guy was there. And I'll put it all together. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I had a great talk with you.
Yeah, same here. I'll hop off. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for having me up.
Wait, thank you so much for sending me Brian's dad. Jay, where'd you go? She's my fave. Me and Jay always have good conversations. That was Jay for Justice. Get on over to her channel and check it out. Subscribe. We've done a couple videos over there. We did a couple call-ins. I liked it. But I closed it accident. She was just like, I'm out. Question: how many blue security lights are on U of I campus? I haven't seen any. This is a major area of concern. Yeah, I will be happy to report on that when I'm there, though. That's interesting. So, girl, all day, every day, duh. You are so welcome. Now, me and Jay always have had good vibe. Good vibe. All right, yeah. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate you. Again, rolled this track for a lot longer than planned, but a lot of people have off tomorrow. So enjoy the rest of your evening. And thank you to the mods for modding. Thank you for the subs for subscribing. Thank you for the members for their ship. And thank you for those that had the courage to hit the button to come on up. It was nice chatting with you guys. So always be kind to one another. And again, make yourself known. Thumbs up the video, thumbs down the video, whatever you're feeling. Thumb it out. Thank you, Draw Latina. Thank you for that. All of you guys that became a member tonight, super chatted. Appreciate that. Don't steal plants. Thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you. I have heard about it. I have. God, I can't wait to go to sleep. My eyes. I'm gonna go catch the last part of this timeline. If anybody knows and has the link of the cross-examination on the timeline, dude, for the Murdoch murder trial, email that to me. Everybody's been so keen on putting the link up about what he was asked on direct, but I was looking for the cross-examination. So if anybody has it, I just want the cross-examination. I've already gone through the direct like 5 times. So thank you guys. Lana, let's go to sleep. I'm exhausted. Me too, man. We out, man. We out. Awake. All right, till next time, guys. Good night. Peace.